This video is going to be breaking down how Fancy just completed the best Madden season ever in Madden 25, mastering the switch stick feature, showing that he has the best defense in the world, running what I would consider to be the best offense in the world in the Eagles playbook. And this video is going to be detailing his entire journey through the MCS playoffs and his ultimate victory against Zombies for the Madden 25 Madden Bowl. Throughout this video, you're going to see different types of strategies, different types of tutorials, breakdowns, film study, all that stuff. There's a lot to learn from these games, and I cannot wait to get into them with you. This is Madden 25, Fancy's run to the Madden Bowl title. Fancy versus Wesley, MCS playoff matchup, quarterfinal. Fancy, the #1 seed, career earnings. There you see kind of the tail of the tape there. MCS 25 earnings. Did want to quickly just point this out. This is the MCS 25 earnings, so what they've made over the course of this year. Take a look. Fancy, $138,000, comes in as the #1 seed, won back-to-back belts in the, I think it was the kickoff challenge, and then the most feared challenge in Ultimate Team. Wesley has kind of silently had a really good year as well, and these guys are very similar players. Now, I personally picked Wesley to win the entire thing. The main reason I picked him, honestly, is because I actually feel like he truly is probably the best player in the field, and the fact that Henry is not in this event, I felt like Wesley is just the best player that hasn't won a belt, honestly. And so this is his time. He knows this is his time. He's going in this matchup knowing more than likely that if he's able to beat Fancy, he pretty much has a fairly clean road to be able to get to the finals. And obviously anything can happen to the finals. So we're going to get into this one. This is probably my favorite matchup of the entire tournament. And the fact that we're getting this in a quarterfinal, this is like Bills-Ravens divisional round. This is a really, really good matchup. And the reason that makes these two players so good is they have truly mastered the switch stick feature. The switch stick feature is an absolute game-changing feature in this game, and these two are the people that I would say are the best in the world. Their switch sticks are really good. They're going to do a really good job of playing defense. They're going to be able to do things that really you just don't see. So what's also interesting is they are also two of the best passers in the world. Now, real quick, I just wanted to break down kind of the overarching schemes that we're going to see from these guys as far as what they're doing. I want to also, kind of highlight why they're doing it. Now, Wesley and Fancy, I believe they are both in the Eagles playbook. I believe Eagles is still the #1 offense in the game. If you want to get my version of the Eagles ebook, it is in our school community, and that will be linked in the description. $10 gets you access to everything that I know about the game, everything that I know about Madden, everything that I know about college football 25. And I think in this year's game, we are seeing in this tournament specifically why Eagles is so good. Okay, a couple things here. You have this short post from right to left. You have a return route that is really powerful. You also have a PA snag play where you have play action blocking, which blocks a lot of blitzes, and it has a short post from this side. So a couple things that Wesley's going to have to worry about. He's going to have to worry about a speed out here. He's going to have to worry about a short post here. He's going to have to worry about a tight end short corner here with a short post backside. And then another one of the main combos that we're going to see is this Y sail, because you have a stock fade, and then you can streak the tight end. You can motion the running back out, put him on a speed out. This formation is perfect for this year's game, in my opinion. You're able to attack both sides of the field pretty much at will, pretty quickly. And so it's why I love this playbook. Now, we did see some players in this tournament run Saints, which is very similar to this playbook, but there's some subtle differences. The main difference really being you don't have a short post over here, and also this guy's position, he's going to be a little bit more in this area of the field. So in general, just a little bit different spacing. You also, this receiver was be on the line, this right wouldn't be. I do think that's actually a factor. So anyway, all that to say, that is what we're going to see from Fancy on offense. I believe that we're going to see Wesley in the same playbook. The other thing that we're going to see is Wesley was really the guy, in my opinion, that was the first comp guy that I saw running this kind of walk over this guy, blitz angle, and then he got crossfire like this. He is been in dollar, I'm pretty sure, the entire year, okay? Wesley's been in dollar the entire year. Fancy has been in dollar the majority of the year since he won his belt. Okay. He was really the first player where we saw, and I did some videos on this, where we saw how powerful switch stick truly was. The reason he won the first two belts was his defense. I think we're going to see something similar in this game, but the bottom line here is you really have two blitzes. You have this crossfire loop where you're going to be able to get this instead of dollar dime 3-2, or you're going to hit this guard and try to get a B gap right here. Those are really the two main blitzes you're going to see. They're also noticing the safety's position. He wants those safeties in the box and typically going to be in quarters. So hopefully that gives you enough background, and we can go ahead and get into this play and see. As you see, cover 4 shell for Wesley starting off. Fancy able to hit the short post to that left side. The reason why short posts are so valuable, such valuable routes in this game, is because they get more open under the deep zones, and so it's harder for the defense to be able to switch stick it properly. Another little thing about Wesley is this positioning here is going to be a little bit tighter than what you will see from probably Fancy on defense. He's going to put that safety a little tighter towards the center as opposed to directly over the guard. I personally really like him to be pushing him directly over the guard. You see how he's a little tighter. He's also a little closer to the line of scrimmage. So some things to kind of monitor here. Wesley or Fancy going to flip again, pretty much cover 4 across the board, right? You're going to get cover 4, man. Cover 4 is the way that you play defense in this game, and your offense has to be equipped to be able to beat cover 4. Truly, you know, this Eagles playbook with the short post, this is the play action play. The beauty of this play action play is, and there we get a nice shed from Wesley. The beauty of the play action play is it's going to dumb out that crossfire blitz angle. It's going to make that blitz a lot less effective. So Wesley's going to have to, you know, basically mix in the loop, mix in the crossfire. He's going to have to do that. We really haven't seen this play that Fancy goes to here. This is out of the doubles off close weak. I think it's the play called pivot seams, and haven't seen this play called a ton, but we might see that here. Here we're going to get a flat, a wheel. And again, you see there's the dumb out. Good read by Fancy. What I like about Fancy, the way he sees the game, and what I think makes him really good this year is offensively, he is a very systematic offensive player. He's not going to run a lot of plays, but he's going to run his plays to a very high level. And he's also, this is super important. I think this is going to be super important over the course of the next several years in competitive Madden. He's a progression quarterback. So the way that he sees the game is he's going to go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. That's how he's going to read it. So he's never going to miss the flat routes. He's never going to miss the open underneath routes because those are typically going to be his first reads. Here's this pivot seams play. I don't know why we see this as much. I don't know if this is just a mix in out of this formation. I don't know what makes this play super good, but he hits the seam streak there to the left side and really kind of looking pretty good offensively. The last tournament Fancy was in was a Zero Chill. He made the live event for Zero Chill, and he got blown out by Clef. He got flooded. I want to say 2 or 3 possession victory for Clef. Here is motion angle wheel. Nice little ag there by JMO. So last tournament Fancy was in, he got beat pretty bad by Clef, and he just honestly just didn't look good offensively primarily. And he was in this Eagles. So we'll see how he looks. He looks a lot better here, a lot better equipped. This going to this pivot seems play a lot. Wesley almost got him. The whole philosophy behind this dollar defense and the strategy of what you're seeing Wesley do and Fancy do, there's really 2 primary things. Number 1, you're trying to switch stick, and so this optimizes for switch stick just because of the plate, like just because of how the formation is laid out. It's a symmetrical formation. It's really a cover 4 shell generally, and so you're going to be able to switch stick fairly easily. The other thing that you're optimizing for is because it's a dollar set, and just because of the general coverage that you're going with, and because you have 2 slot corners on the field, you're going to be forcing them to score in the red zone if you play your defense right. You see there, Fancy is able to do that out of that trips tight end flex. One of the more underrated elements is that the Eagles playbook did add into a trips tight end as well. And so now you can go to trips tight end, have play action blocking, have a lot of good tools in the latest playbook update that they dropped. So The whole strategy here really kind of hangs on this idea that we're going to have two high safeties. We're going to force you to read what we're doing. We're going to have the same look pre-snap, but do different things post-snap. We're going to have really 2 to 3 types of blitzes that we're going to utilize. And then really the big thing and the key to everything is the switch stick and forcing them to score in the red zone, right? This defense really hinges on eliminating big plays, forcing checkdowns, forcing checkdowns, forcing checkdowns. And then as you get closer to the red zone, you kind of ramp up your defense in that regard. So there's just a lot about this defense that I personally love. I've got a full ebook on it in our school community. Vikings is also really good, but I personally have just loved Dollar all year long. And I think we're going to just see, you're going to see, it's going to be hard for me to see Dollar not winning this event. Dollar is the king of defense this year. It was the king of defense last year. It was the king of defense the year before. It's just a really, really good formation. If you can stop the run in it and you can get a little bit of pressure, the coverage from Dollar has been superior. So that being said, here we go. Fancy in the Dollar, switch sticking his face off. A lot to learn from this. Wesley going to run a little bit more corner routes than Fancy's going to. He's going to run a little bit more Y sail. But again, Wesley is in the Eagles book. So he's rocking Eagles. Notice a lot of wide side tight end, which I am kind of interested as to why. I think it's because they're kind of they'll use the motion out running back a lot as a cover 2 beater on that side, or they're trying to create more space for the fade. But you'll notice a lot of wide side tight end in terms of how they're going to lay this formation out. Wesley loves PA snag. He's going to run a lot of PA snag. Real quick, we're just going to give you kind of a basic deal. I feel like you can learn a lot from like the first couple plays in terms of how they want to play defense. So as you see here, Wesley goes play action. That's why this blitz gets kind of dumbed out. Actually, Fancy, never mind. I told you wrong. He actually runs this B gap. The beauty of this B gap, and this is one of the most underrated things about this, is this, you can drop this defensive tackle. You see here, he's dropping his defensive tackle into coverage, and that's Julius Peppers, right? Julius Peppers, what, 6'7", 6'6", and then literally, guys, I promise you, it's going to be this the majority of the game. It's cover 4. It's cover 4 with hard flats, and what is open here, right? Well, we're gonna be looking to switch stick onto this guy, this guy, this guy, or this guy. That is generally what you're going to see. And it's the best way to play defense in the game, by far the best way to play defense in the game. So as you see here, right, Wesley's going to go up top first play, dropped pick for Fancy. This is a little bit of an interesting throw, and I'm not sure why. It's just, I've just never seen this kind of combo. So you have a streak, you have a speed out that is stemmed all the way to the goal line. I'm not exactly sure what we're doing here. But then the other thing that's really important is this is short side. So he's running this into the boundary. The reason why that matters is because watch Fancy's defense, this inside quarter. It looks like Fancy puts this guy on a middle third. That is really the reason why this throw exists. Because if you guys didn't know, when you run double safety go, the whole point of this middle third is so Fancy can switch stick on him. He's not actually wanting him to play a middle third zone. He just wants to switch stick on him. The problem is when you get a route combo like this, and this is just kind of a lab dot that Wesley's trying to cook up here, if you could get this quarter out of the way, which is why this is also really important. This is why Fancy's doing this to the short side. The middle third is not on the wide side. It's on the short side. Why? Because the quarter can still cover. The quarter, an outside quarter, generally speaking, is going to cover from numbers to sideline. And then the middle third is going to cover from numbers to the hash. So what Wesley really is trying to do is when he throws this, if you guys didn't know, the middle thirds, since the patch, they have struggled to get back. They basically run in slow motion. They don't get back. The only zone in the game that gets back is quarters, inside quarters. This is part of why cover 4 is such a good defense in this game. Because it's the only zones that don't just get dusted in the seams is these inside quarters when you bring the safeties in the box. The reason you bring the safeties in the box is because you have to be able to stop seam streaks, which is the most fundamental route in this game. All that background explanation to say he runs a middle third. It's actually really smart by Wesley to try to attack this. I'm really surprised that he runs a speed out. I think he was either anticipating having more time because he's anticipating Fancy switching here to try to drive on this and maybe throw a speed out. I don't think that's really what he was ultimately going to do. I would have, if you go to come back here, you got a better chance of kind of popping this quarter. Anywho, all that to say, what you see here, look, see how he's beat. He's beat here. So if you're Wesley, you want to throw this up into the middle. You want to throw the ball basically right there. So I want you to notice what happens. Fancy sees it, but he's very out of position. This is literally a touchdown. But because he's on this hash mark, right? Because he's on this hash mark, this quarter is going to animate on this ball. If the ball was over here, this quarter would never, ever, ever play that. So Wesley throws it here. Let's see if we can really kind of see what happens. So you see, look at this green. That's where he started. So he throws it up and inside. But watch this quarter. Middle third's completely out of position. Watch this quarter, though. He's able to drive on the ball and make a swat and almost a pick. Super high level what just happened and why it happened and why Fancy put the middle third on the short side of the field as opposed to the wide side of the field. It's a really underrated thing that he just did based on kind of that idea of the middle third. So here you get it again. This time, again, look, he's trying to hit it again. Not able to. And that's that inside quarter. And that time Wesley got kind of lucky with the quarterback scramble, not giving up any fumbles there. So a lot is going on, even though it is truly a cover 4 shell. I've seen Fancy do this pretty much all year, this middle third. So this is an interesting combo here. This is trying to manipulate this middle third here. He's going to a tight end post, but he has a comeback on the right-hand side. So we'll see how he wants to utilize that. But what he's trying to basically do is, because this isn't an inside quarter, he won't, so like an inside quarter just literally runs straight back, basically, okay? Fancy's middle thirding him. Why? Because he wants to switch stick onto him to cut any kind of cross or post. However, the reason that all this matters is because this can pull a quarter. So this quarter can get pulled by this. This is a dot that Astro actually used against Wesley in the first round of this tournament. So what Wesley's going to do is he's going to go to a post. And basically what that does is it puts this outside quarter in conflict. Do you go to the post? Do you bite on the out route? That is kind of the game here. And then on the backside, the underrated piece of this route combo is we're expecting cover 4. This running back will going to get into a very soft spot against cover 4 where Fancy has to choose, am I going to cover over here or am I going to cover over here? This is how you beat switch stick, right? This is truly how you draw up plays and design your offense to attack the entirety of the field to be able to attack a switch stick defense. Okay, so here we go. Let's just break the coverage down. Loop, boom, boom, boom. Look at this. Hard flat, inside quarter, probably outside quarter, probably middle third, right? Over here, it looks like we got a vert hook, which is another thing that you'll see a lot of guys use. And this is the principle. It's using a vertical hook to the short side of the field. The reason you use a vertical hook to the short side of the field as opposed to the wide side of the field is because the vertical hook is something that you can switch stick onto to be able to cover any kind of outbreaking pattern. So again, there's some big time principles based on hash marks within these coverages, but in general, right, this is what we get. Let's take a look at how this plays out ultimately. So you see the vertical hook is playing this. Wesley makes a good read. This is going to be open. You're anticipating that this is backed off. Look at what Fancy did. He switched stick to take this tight end post away. That is Fancy's game plan. This actually plays really good, and you're not really able to throw this running back. All right? So that's kind of how everything ends up playing out. Good read by Wesley. Catch it, but he gets KO'd. This is also super important when we talk about roster construction. We talk about abilities. In this game, especially right now, abilities are everything. You want to prioritize mid-zone KO. Mid-zone KO is the most important ability on defense. It's been the most important ability on defense all year. I find it interesting that people really didn't super press to get a mid-zone KO until the zero chill event and really this one. So anyway, super important. Here we're going to go back to it, and he goes cover 4. That time he covered 2 that left side. That's what he'll do situationally. And now I believe Fancy gets his stop. So let's break down. That was a 4th down stop. I just wanted to highlight kind of what we saw here. Again, this is a big down, and this is what we've seen. So we saw this consistently. We saw this loop, this loop, this loop. What did Wesley do to counter it? He ran play action. On a big down, a 4th and 9, Fancy is going to mix up his pressure, and he's going to send this where he's going to hit the guard and then go into coverage. Now, the other thing that he's going to do is, because Wesley doesn't motion out this running back, you're not really concerned. This is super important. You're not really concerned about anything beating a cover 2. So what he does is he vert hooks, he cloud flats, and he quarters. And this is a really good shell. I've talked about this before, because the only thing that could really hurt you is a super deep corner, which you can switch stick onto. But the main thing that hurts a cover 2 on the left is really the running back motion down on speed out, and then you get that combo. So because Fancy really isn't doing that, because Wesley's not really doing that, Fancy's going to go to this coverage. So what you're going to see here is, look at this combo. Now look what Fancy does on the right side. Okay, Fancy is going to send a little extra pressure. Why does he send this blitzer? Probably to keep Vic in the pocket and hopefully kind of mess up the pass pro. But what you see here on this right side is he essentially puts a soft squat over here to the right side, or a cloud. I think it's a soft squat. Why does he put a soft squat? Because he's situationally, right, 4th and 9, what's a popular route that you're going to get? You're going to get a speed out. What does a soft squat stop? A speed out. So you see this is basically just perfect defense, anticipating what Wesley's going to do. You're not going to run a speed out over here because this guy can't run a speed out and the running back's in the backfield. So where's the speed out going to go? Speed out's going to go there. And that's what Wesley is ultimately trying to throw. And this is just perfect defense. And he gets the pressure. Look at what the running back did. Running back went to that slot corner. Pressure comes in. Fancy gets a stop. It's a big, big stop in this game. And early stop, first drive stop. And now Fancy's going to get an opportunity to really separate. He's going to get, this is what I think Fancy did a really good job of really all year. When he gets these opportunities in games, he separates. He's not going to, normally he goes down and gets 7 in these situations. So here we go. Wesley pretty much running the same defense, able to get enough pressure there. And this is why it's so important that you have some type of pressure, some type of way that you are going to consistently get pressure on people. Watch this flip. Why would you flip here? We're looking to take advantage of cover 2 to the left side. Wesley doesn't run cover 2 to the left side. And pretty much good defense by Wesley. Doesn't get the fumble. Went both ways. Fancy knows it. You saw the facial expression. Really had the tight end late. Actually a really good combo where you have a little tight end 15-yard in, a curl, and a running back flat. Here's PA snag, really kind of a quick hike play, nice playmaker of the tight end. The ability you need to be using on your quarterback, the ability stack you need to be using, in my opinion, is Master Tactician and Gunslinger. Those are the 2 main abilities that you want to have. The third priority to me would be set feet lead. And then after that, if you could get gift wrap or you could get dashing dead eye, those are kind of how you do it. But basically the way this game is played this year is offensively, you're going to spend pretty much all of your AP on your quarterback, and defensively, you're going to spend all of your AP trying to get KOs as many places as you possibly can. Here's a little running back corner route, super underrated route combo right there from Wesley, or from Fancy. Keep getting these guys mixed up. They play so similarly. Fancy goes with the running back corner route right there. Super high level route. The reason why that route is so good is because it's going to run like a short corner. And so it just gets into an area of the field that is really hard to guard with switch stick. You can also throw that short corner off the snap. So you have to have a yellow zone to be able to throw it to protect against the snap throw of that corner. And then you also have to have a cloud and cover 4 defense just not equipped. You see the hard flag gets pulled. Look at all the space there to be able to throw that. So that's why I was talking about Fancy. When he gets in these situations, he separates. So there he goes down and gets 7. Second drive. And kind of going back to the crossfire blitz, one of the real important points to make about this is because you have to block those two blitzes in dollar differently, and you can give the same pre-snap look right every single time Fancy's moving this guy over and getting right here. Because of this, he has to, like, he's basically guessing what blitz Fancy's going to run, and that is not, if you guess wrong, you're getting pressured. Also, notice Wesley just ran the same combo that Fancy ran on the previous drive, trying to pop cover 2. It's a really nice route out of Eagles' book that has that little slot fade. Here we go, a little slant post combo from Wesley, and able to beat the blitz. Now, I wanted to also just quickly point out here, there's that blitz again. Guess what? Fancy ran the same defense that he just ran. And really, honestly, I think Fancy's trying to switch here. I think he honestly messes up. I think he's trying to switch there, and he just doesn't get there. And Wesley on time, right? He's getting pressured. Boom. Gets the ball out and really just able to pop through. This is what I talk about when I talk about big plays. I personally don't think Fancy should have went with that coverage on that in that situation. I understand why he did, but I just feel like you didn't really need to send 5 there. But I think what Fancy was trying to do is he's trying to go for the knockout, because if he got a stop there, like, the game is effectively in big time harm's way for Wesley. I just felt like he got a little over aggressive in that play call. Here's a little red zone combo for you. Cheat flat with that cheat flat, and then the flat zig, and then the speed out. Nice scramble from Vic there. It's a really nice combo. That cheat flat runs so fast, so it's able to pull all those flats. Then you got that pivot route. And then if you have a speed out, and that speed out's primary purpose is if they go cover too hard flat or something like that, to be able to defend the other stuff. And then good scramble by Wesley. This is a formation I've talked a little bit about in my Eagles breakdowns. This idea of the slot right as a red zone formation. It's got a nice RPO out of it. It's got a couple other things. But here you're going to see Wesley actually audible down into, is this single back jumbo, tight jumbo, whatever this is called. Is it just single back jumbo? Not sure, but didn't work. Best red zone runs in this game: stretch, duo, and then really after that, whatever you want to do. Jet touch pass, power O. Here you're going to see go back to that cheat flat. So this is his main passing concept here to the right side. I want to just break this down. So you have a speed flat, and then you have this pivot route. So the speed flat, let's say this is cover 4. He's going to pull this guy, and then you're going to throw this right in here. Now let's say it's cover 2. If this is, because we're running a speed out, let's say he cloud flats. The cloud flat's going to back up, and he's going to play the speed out, which is going to allow you to throw the cheat flat. Let's say you play cover 2 hard flat. He's going to roll down to the tight end. He's going to roll down on this little zig, and then you can throw the speed out kind of in this back corner. So this is a super high level red zone play. And then let's say that Fancy switch sticks over here or just covers it really well. This is kind of your backside combo on this left-hand side here. So let's take a look at what Fancy does defensively. So take a look here. You see here, you get cover 2 pretty much. I want to say this is a vert hook, but I'm not sure. Yeah, this is a vert hook. So it's a vert hook. So watch, he's kind of playing that pivot route really nicely. This cloud flat's kind of splitting the difference. The throw really should be a high point back corner right here. That's where we should throw it. His user's stuck in the middle of the field. He's going to have to play that. And so we take a look at what happens from Wesley. And you see, he's going to high point. Now, this was something in the patch. They talked about you're going to get more inaccurates on high points. What happens a lot, they lied to you in the patch. I don't think they literally changed anything about this game, especially the more that I watch some of these playoffs. In the patch, it says inaccurate, but guess what? It ain't going to be inaccurate. He's going to throw it where only his receiver can catch it, and he's going to get his feet down and get a big touchdown. That's a huge answer from Wesley to kind of what Fancy been doing in a pretty high-level red zone play. Tell you what's interesting, again, I really believe Wesley and Fancy is almost like a mirror match. They matched up in Madden 24 Madden Bowl and was a really good all-time game as well. But these two players, they are very, very systematic. They are going to do what they do. They're going to out-execute you. That is pretty much their game plans coming into it. They have their red zone plays. They have their money plays. They're basically going to, for the most part, try to out-execute you throughout a game offensively, and they're going to primarily try to switch stick you defensively, try to use or something. So most of the defensive strategy for both of them relies on their user or their switch stick in this year's game. And then most of their offensive strategy really just relies on their progression reads and they're kind of standard plays. Here, Fancy going to go to jet touch pass, kind of mix this in. This is another great feature of the Eagles playbook. What I really like about Eagles, this is why I just really believe that it is the best playbook in the game, is it has every single good route that you could want. It has return routes. It has cheat motions. It has short post routes. It has zig routes. It has drawing a blank, a stock fade route, right? It has a nice tight end corner. So there's just a lot of really good stuff in there. Almost lurked him, not able to quite get back there with Peppers, but I'm telling you, dropping Julius Peppers in that little hook is so good. It is such a good adjustment to be able to make. And it really, I think that specific blitz really took Dollar to the next level. All right, boys, Fancy going to go to inside zone. Why going inside zone here? Fancy's primary purpose of using that play call right there is to try to clock this out. He's trying to get to halftime. Ideally, Fancy scores 7 without giving Wesley the ball back, or giving Wesley the ball back with under 15 seconds, more than likely. And he takes all of Wesley's timeouts. So you're seeing that Wesley only has one timeout to take, and Fancy's going to try to be very intentional about taking that timeout from him. Here we get this wheel route and the running back streak. I think it's a very underrated combo, and Wesley able to get good pressure. Go pivot seams. He loves this play. I don't really know why. Oh, motion out running back. Speed out there. Good read to that tight end. Really nice read. And I'll be honest, man. I watched that zero chill game with Fancy and Clef, and Fancy did not look good in that game. He just didn't. He looks a lot better in this one. He looks a lot better. So I don't know if he got more reps, more preparation for a bowl. What typically happens throughout an MCS competitive year, from what I understand, is the primary goal throughout the regular season is to make it to these playoffs, right? Just kind of like the regular NFL. And what these guys will do is at certain points throughout the year, they'll not play the game as much. They'll not be as locked in as they normally would be for a big tournament. And I think some of that might have happened with Fancy. Not 100% sure, but he looks significantly better in this game than he did in the zero chill event where he lost to Clef. Just significantly better, just looks sharper offensively, not making as many mistakes. So I don't know. Anyway, jet touch pass to Jameson Williams. Going to bring up a 3rd and 3. And this is going really well. And again, this is my personal opinion. I thought if there was one person that could beat Fancy in this tournament, it'd be Wesley. That's why I ultimately picked Wesley to win this game. I knew Fancy would be locked in for bowl. I just thought Wesley could upset him 100%. And Fancy looks really, really tough right now. Really, really tough. Seam streak, nice read. And that was a really, really nice read. So this is the new play. It's not a new play to Madden, but it's new to the Eagles playbook. It's strip side end, PA slot corner. You have a short post, a drag, and a streak. And then over here, you can play little games, a couple different combos you could use. But what Fancy does here is flat and then a running back wheel or a running back streak, either one. What this does is you're going to see right here, watch this inside quarter. So you see how Wesley switch sticks? This is exactly the read Fancy's making, is if Wesley switch sticks onto this inside quarter to roll down and take away the post, Fancy's going to throw this ball where only his receiver can catch it in the back area of the end zone. You see here, Wesley switch sticks and then immediately switch sticks off. It's actually a really good play by Wesley, but it doesn't matter. It's exactly what Fancy was looking for him to do, and he's able to hit a huge touchdown. And not completely ideal in terms of how this works for the clock, but ultimately he was able to take all of Wesley's timeouts. He was able to get a touchdown, and there's only 54 seconds left in this half. And so Fancy needs to, kind of lock up, try to hold Wesley to a 3. If Wesley turns the ball over, a lot of things that could go, kind of a interesting situation. With no timeouts, it really changes how you play this. Great switch stick from Fancy there. Oh, he threw that. Oh, he threw that for real. You threw that for real, right? Shout out to Big Tay. Like, what? Okay, so one of the things that Fancy does, and something that I'm starting to notice, Up until this point, what most people did is they put their hook curls on 5. And the reason we put our hook curls on 5 is because it would, if you didn't, the yellows would back up so far, it would be really difficult. What I think you're seeing in this event, what you're starting to see is a change in that. So this is not a 5-yard hook curl. This is, this is just like probably a shaded down regular hook curl. Anyway, what we get is we get a snag, we get this, and then notice what Fancy does. It's basically just straight up cover 4. This is that middle third, and then he's going to switch stick onto it. So what you're going to see Fancy do here is he's going to switch stick onto this. Again, this is why the hash marks are so critical in this game. I don't know for sure if this is a quarter, a third, or I think it's either a quarter or a third. Anyway, the point being, Fancy is not concerned about this seam streak. Honestly, the best throw here to me is try to throw this up. But anywho, so you have, your hook curl, you have your flat, you have your hook curl, and then you switched on to the middle third. So he switches onto this middle third, and he's going to take this away. So Wesley playmakers the tight end upfield. Now he is getting pressured. This is only a sin 3, but it's starting to come in. So to me, at this point, the throw really is here, but it's a hard throw and a throw that Wesley almost threw a pick on the first drive of the game. So what he's anticipating is if this is a 5-yard hook curl, when you playmaker this up, oftentimes this yellow just kind of stays here. I think this was a default hook curl that maybe Fancy shaded underneath. Because watch, he turns. See how he turns and runs with him. Now, at this point right here, you can't throw this. You got to throw the ball away. But he does. He throws it. Oh, man. Yeah, it throws it. And you see Wesley's expression. It's a huge turnover. It's a massive turnover in this game. One thing saving Wesley is he does get ball at half, but that's a massive turnover. It's a huge mistake. And you just can't do that in that spot. It's the adage of you can't win a game before half, but you can lose one. Pretty bad decision by Wesley. Pretty bad. Was super surprised that he threw that, and I just think maybe he was expecting that hook curl to flatten and just never did. So if you're Fancy here, honestly, 3's fine. You've kind of accomplished your purpose. 3 points puts you up 17.5. I think you'd feel good about that. If Wesley gives you a touchdown, he gives it to you. But I think Fancy's going to play fairly conservative. He's just going to make sure that he at least gets a 3. I'd like to see him take a sack there. I saw the opening, but I didn't. I feel like, I guess you don't have to take a sack. That doesn't really matter. Doesn't really change anything, really. It's going to go to, he loves this play. And again, I can't for the life of me understand why. Speed out, seam streak, it's just, I think it's because this streak kind of fades out to the left. Ooh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so again, I was talking about a mirror match. This looks like it kind of fades a little out to the outside. So what happens is the other little thing here is because of the position of the running back and position of this guy, let's say that this is an inside quarter, he's going to pull this way. And so this is the idea, right? That Fancy's going to have this opening right here to throw the ball against cover 4. The problem is it's not cover 4. You're going to see here that Wesley cross-mans him onto the running back, or just mans up the running back here, and then he has the quarter, and then basically I'm assuming this is a cloud, and this is a cloud, and you're going to see here, I think it's shaded down, so what Fancy's expecting is to throw this kind of like he threw the last touchdown, but it's just, honestly, a great switch stick by Wesley. He switch sticks onto it, able to cut this off. Ultimately, I just feel like it was too tight of a window in that situation. It doesn't ultimately really hurt Fancy. But I think that a 17-point lead versus a 14-point lead is pretty significant in Madden. So I would have just I don't know. I just feel like, maybe not, maybe not like right there. But all in all, I mean, obviously winning the game, I just felt like right there, that specific play could have been a little better and able to get pressure. And that's going to pretty much do it for the first half. A lot happened in this half. A lot happened. And Fancy able to take a 21-7 lead in half. And I believe Wesley is going to get the ball in the second half. All right. So second half, Wesley is going to have ball. And starting out, a little corner, a little speed out up top left side. And Wesley is going to be kind of pushing quickly. He needs to score quickly, give himself a chance to get back in this game. Really, one of the big benefits of getting the ball at half is you're really never out of a game, hardly ever out of a game where you get ball at half, and he's going to go quick and kind of pop Fancy there on the first couple plays. Just got upfield quickly. A lot of quick hikes here. It's basically why so every time quick hiking it. Has a touchdown, throws a touchdown. Didn't get a great pass lead, honestly. And I don't know if that's because of the high ball, but Calvin didn't get him a great animation. Wesley seems like he really values height. I personally don't this year. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. Throws that. Catches that. Oh, no. I have no idea what this zone is. None. Because look. Is that a soft squat? Yeah, I think Fancy's on default. I really do. I think Fancy's on default, so he can use those soft squats on the outside to kind of match. But that's not, if that was a soft squat, I'll never ever put a soft squat on the field. That was terrible. That soft squat did not play very well. Just got ran by on a straight up streak, which soft squats are supposed to match to that and take that away. That was too easy. That was too easy for him. It was a good catch, though. Catching traffic. This is why ultimately, like, mid-zone and deep out would be a great combination. Just like they were last year. Little scramble sack. Second and 9. So it's a big drive for Wesley. He's going to have to get a stop. There's that play again, trying to pop cover 2. Not in cover 2. Good check down to the flat there. Able to take advantage of the fact that common theme we've seen a lot, which is that short side vert hook. Kind of taking advantage of that short side flat. People don't really throw to the flat on the short side. I think that's why we're getting so much short side vert hook. But anywho, jet touch pass for Fancy. Gonna just mix this in. I think this is his 4th time calling this. And good shoot by Wesley. Not really. Able to get out of there. That's a huge run. That's a huge run. So you're going to get out of there? Oh my gosh. That was really good. So it looked like Wesley was going to be able to stop that from, like, again, 6. Breaks a tackle. Able to kind of get a little sticky out there. I'm sure Fancy's on conservative. And throws that again, trying to pop cover 2. Looks like Fancy's using Calvin as well. I'm kind of surprised to see so many people using Calvin. I guess maybe rocking a Lions, but I just feel like Calvin's slow at receiver. I mean, I guess he's tall, but do you value height? Do you value speed? Not sure. Laporta's definitely the tight end one. It's just, my goodness, I think he's, at this time, he's like millions of coins. But money is no object for these competitors. I believe EA just makes their team for them, I think. It's another jet touch pass. It's been, really, this has been the drive at jet touch pass. Honestly, the jet touch pass and the right side flat route. Or short side flat route. Going to this pistol wing flex close. Gonna pass? Are we gonna really pass? A little speed flat to the running back. A little whip route. Scramble out of there with RG3. Very good. Nice drive from Fancy. Didn't really have to do a lot. And as far as like sit back and make reads every single play, right? He just able to run the ball, able to kind of fairly easy drive. Good scrambles, good pocket, kind of a big touchdown. And now he's going to have, basically, if Fancy gets one more stop, he's going to be in a really good position to put the game away. So Every single drive for Wesley is so critical because he has to score. He also has to score fast. And so I think personally, Fancy just feels really good about his chances of getting a stop defensively as well. Almost got one right there, by the way. That's why Julius Peppers in that hook curl, really, really effective. There's a disengaged blitz, good switch stick. And you see that's why that disengaged blitz is going to the disengaged blitz pressure is faster. It is faster. You only have to send 3. It's harder to block. The one disadvantage is you have to hit the guy. I'll tell you, 3rd and 4th down, Fancy sends 5 a ton, and I honestly don't love it. I understand why he does it, because he's trying to make sure he gets that pressure, but I don't think it really does what he wants it to do, and I feel like his coverage is so much better when he sends 4. Ooh. Here he makes us in the crossfire pressure. I mean, this is pretty much. I think Fancy was just about to switch stick here and take this away right when Wesley threw it. That's a tough read. That is a tough read. Look at that throw. Ah! Able to complete it. Carlton Davis needs to KO that, or at least something. I think that technically is deep out zone KO territory, but it's right on the edge of mid zone KO territory. There's Fuller. And I think Fancy definitely, if you look at his team, look at where his players are, he very much so values mid zone KO. Very, very much so. Nice corner route. I don't know why he's using Calvin at safety. I don't know that I have to look at that. I don't know why you would use Calvin at safety in this game, other than just for the height. Not obviously trying not to get ag catched, I guess, but I value KOs over everything. I don't care how big you are. I want KOs. I can see why height matters though defensively as well. I want everybody to have mid zone KO, deep out zone. I don't even care about pick artists. After the Clef game, if you guys want to see a really good argument for why pick artist is pointless, go watch Clef the God play. I did a breakdown on the channel. I think it's Clef versus TJ. That's why I will never care about pick artists in this game. That was actually a really nice read there from Wesley, just not able to get the feet down. And I think that's partially why they want Calvin, is because of the height. You're not gonna animate pretty good on high balls. Little slant drag post combo. Yeah. Don't love this combo. It worked. That right there, I guess, is the argument for Calvin. He threw a high ball right at a yellow zone. The guy didn't, and that I guess he highballed that up and it somehow cleared the yellow. Honestly, guess that's why you use tall players. You know? What do I know? The reason they're in this and I'm not. Great read. Look at that. Throw it right at him. Right at his face. And I want to say, is that Jeremy Chin? 6'2"? He threw right at 6'2". Highballed right at his face. Didn't matter. Didn't even animate. Didn't even try. Fancy, what's funny is Fancy's face. He didn't even, it's like he knows that's lab. The guy, I guess. A slant just became the most valuable route in the world. Good God. I mean, if it's a deep blue, you low ball it or you pass it normal. If it's a yellow zone, you high ball right over it, and he just does it. He just stares at it. Another jet touch pass for Fancy. He has hit this, I think, almost every time. Look at how many yards he got. He's going to go all the way. The jet touch pass for Fancy has been huge. Absolutely huge. I don't know why Wesley's trying to strip the ball. You know he's on conservative. I think that might have been why he got so many yards, but all right, boys, put your fours up. What's he gonna have to get a stop here? Running out of time. He needs a stop. Good inside zone call here. Actually, terrible inside zone call here. I don't hate calling an inside zone. I just hate. I feel like that inside zone is just not going to ever work. So I'd rather call it from the right side, or I don't know. Maybe if Wesley was running the other blitz, it would have worked. But he just happened to be in crossfire, I guess. Double streaks. Love that combo. It's a great red zone combo. It does look like Fancy likes trips tight end in the red zone. What's crazy is Fancy was a trips tight end player, was really, number 1 or number 2 trips player in the world. Madden 19, Madden 20, and 21. And then I think Madden 22, he made the change to bunch. And now he seems to just be like, whatever offense is best, I'm going to use it. So, anyway, 4th and goal. It's a big stop for Wesley. He does hold him to 3 here. And this is how Wesley gets back in this ball game, honestly. That's a huge hold to 3. Because by holding him to 3, what happens now is he's able to go down. If he's able to go down and get 7, and let's say 28-31, Fancy gets ball back. Now Fancy's got a lot more pressure on not getting stopped, not getting held to 3. So this is Wesley's opening. This is Wesley's chance to get back in the game. We'll see how this goes. 3 minutes and 50 seconds. 3 timeouts for Wesley. You don't want to use any of them. You really want to score before the 2-minute mark to make this go your way. So we'll see how this ends up going as we kind of dial in the end of game scenario here. Wesley himself going to go to a jet touch pass, try to take advantage of it, similar, and Fancy able to stop it. It's really the difference. It's kind of crazy because those blocks were held for Wes, or those blocks were held better for Fancy than they were for Wesley. Kind of shows the randomness of the run game, but I do think ultimately Fancy has really benefited from those jet touch passes, really. Good user by Fancy, able to get back to that in route. Almost got a little pick there. And 3rd and 9 situation. All right, so 3rd and 9 coming up for Wesley. So Fancy sent 5 most 3rd down situations. Let's see if he does it again here. Okay, this is a huge play. So this was the play of the game. So Fancy sends 5, but he sends it. You never see this, and this is what's really smart about it. This is DB Fire 2. I think DB Fire 2's not very good, but as a once or twice a game mix-up, it's really good. Fancy says, I want to get a stop here, because if I get a stop here, the game's basically over. 3rd and 9, what he does, something completely different. He changes everything about the picture, and look what he does. He's going to send 5 off the edge, and then he's going to take this guy, and he's going to cross-man him on the tight end. And then I think we get cross-man here. I think we're getting soft squats on the outside and probably an inside quarter. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like to me off initial. Let it run a little bit more. And you're seeing there's the man up. He completely changes the post-snap picture. This is the first time he's done anything like this. The send 5. Watch this cross man. Here's the quarter. He switches onto the soft squat. And then look at that. The cross man does the job anyway. Pick, Pat Tillman, play of the game, player of the game. First down, Fancy. Got the stop he needed. That is such a huge play. It looks like he manned up the backside. Looks like he just manned up the backside. But then he had that soft squat from the DB Fire 2. He cross-mans the tight end. And then he took that deep half and turned that into an inside quarter. Big time stop. Big time play. And now this just completely changes everything. Because now Wesley's going to, at the least, he's going to need 2 touchdowns. And if I'm Fancy, let's go with Shoe Cluck. We got to get on conservative. I don't know. I'm assuming he's on conservative. But this better be, to me, it's 3 runs and kick 3. I understand the idea of passing. He does pass here. I love him taking the sack, though. He takes the sack on purpose because if it wasn't wide open, he was going to always take that sack. because the whole point is he wants this clock to move, and he wants to put Wesley in a position where if he doesn't use his timeouts, then he definitely doesn't get ball back before the 2-minute warning. So you see here, goes down, 2:40. He's going to run this clock all the way down. Should kick 3. He might go for this. It's not a terrible decision to go for this here if you really think you can get it. Personally, I think where he's at on the field doesn't make sense to go for it. I would rather him just kick 3, but we'll see what he ends up doing. But either way, you take this clock all the way down, you take a delay, and you basically give Wesley the ball back. He won't be able to score. More than likely won't be able to score before the 2-minute warning. You're going to be up 13 points, and you're going to put Wesley in a position where he's just effectively, he's going to have to get an onside. He's going to have something, right? Something's going to have to break. I really like that management of that situation by Fancy there. I think some players would try to get that first down at all costs, and it really doesn't necessarily change that much about the situation. So I think him taking the 3 is really good. The way he's been playing defense, Fancy, ironically, in a game that is super offensive based, a very offensive based game, Fancy really, which is really weird because he's been so good on offense for so many years. He really trusts his defense. His defense on the field is a weapon to him. That's how good his switch deck is, and that's how good he feels defensively. What a great play call and a big down. This is what we talk about with like these gotta have it moments. Really mastering the situation, changing it up at the right time. He doesn't change it up much, but that change up on the right down at the right time in the right moment, he's able to make a really, really big play against one of the best players in the world. We go Wyseo for Wesley. Almost got him there. He does get the mid-zone KO there, able to knock it out. I actually think, one of the real cool changes this year is when you do get a knockout on the sideline specifically. Last year, they would drop it out of bounds, but then they would still count it as a catch. In this year's game, it's just going to be a knockout. So I think that really does favor the defense a little bit. Here's a send 5. Again, third down. He sends 5 every third down. This is actually so big. This isn't like, this is just him making good defensive play. But watch what Wesley's going to do, and watch what Fancy calls from a coverage. So he sends it, boom, boom. Here's your send 5. Okay. Now, what we have from a coverage shell perspective is we have quarter. I think we have quarter. We have vert hook. We have flat. Look where his user at. He jammed him into the guard, and so he's stuck underneath. So the combo is curl, deep corner, right? And then I think we have a seam streak on the backside. Yeah, seam streak and post. So this is a really good switch stick from Fancy. He switch sticks here. But notice this curl is almost like it is deep enough it could be a streak. Anyway, he holds this. So Fancy does a really good job here of switch sticking from this guy to this guy. He also, notice these yellows. I believe these are protect the sticks yellows. So with his zones, he protected sticks. I don't know that for sure. Anyways, he switch sticks here, rolls back onto the corner really well. Wesley kind of forces it because he's trying to make a play. And there it is. Another stop for Fancy. In a mirror match, I believe this is Fancy's 3rd stop of the game, maybe his 4th. And it's just huge. He got the 4th down stop. I think this is his 4th because he got the 4th down stop as well. He got the 4th down stop. I think he got 3 picks. Maybe 2. So now Fancy pretty much just needs to ice this game. So this is jet touch pass. This is inside zone. I'm actually really, you see him go again. That jet touch pass, they've been holding their blocks for Fancy this game. That jet touch pass, I run Eagles. I personally really like Eagles. I still think Eagles is the best. I do not run enough of these jet touch passes. These boys are out here this is just free yardage. Free yardage. Safe, free. Fancy's doing a really good job, but right there got positive yards when he really should have been kind of bagged. And then mixing in this fake jet wheel, I need to do that more too. That fake jet wheel is such a good mix in because if you ever get them in a position where they're going to run commit to stop your jet touch pass, you call fake jet wheel, it's a touchdown. Especially with Master Tactician. All right, so here PA bubble over, little quick snap, running back corner route, gonna be open, gonna throw right at him. But again, that short corner, that aspect of that running back corner route being a shorter corner route really gets into a nice area of the field. Wesley's gonna go ahead and hang it up. GG's, boys. Fancy moves on, looking like the best player in the world still. Boys, I am fired up for this one. We got Fancy versus Big Tay. This is a rematch of the, I believe it was the Ultimate Kickoff semifinal matchup. And Fancy coming into this game is the #1 seed. And Big Tay is kind of the surprise story. Now, I actually picked Big Tay, I think, to get this far when I originally picked the MCS Madden MCS playoffs on my channel. I think I picked Big Tay, or I picked Big Tay to at least get the Clef, and then I thought Clef might take him out. But anyways, Big Tay, TJ ends up necking off Clef, which allowed Big Tay to knock off TJ in a crazy game. And now we get this semifinal, this AFC championship, this NFC championship. We're going to have, I think, Cowboys and Eagles out here. I think Big Tay is an Eagles fan. Anyway, that being said, let's just take a look at the comparison of the two players, right? Not even really close. Fancy really broke through this year. Has been the best player all year. 2 belts this year, 11 majors appearances, and also $500,000 earned. And if he wins, if Fancy goes on to win Madden Bowl, there is a serious conversation that is going to start to be had, because he's going to win. I think if he gets to Madden Bowl and he wins it, I think he's going to be at $750,000, which I think is going to put him either 3rd or 2nd all time in earnings. And with 2 belts and a ring, the 2nd only ring. This dude's just been really good this year. Love watching him play. He's really the father of switch stick. He's the best switch stick in the world. And yeah, super fired up for this. Big Tay is going to be in U-Trips, which I think if there was an offense that can give switch stick some trouble, it's U-Trips, because U-Trips has really good spacing. But Fancy, really, seriously, he's going to win games really because of his defense. Like, going into this matchup, he is going to win games because of his defense. So he is going to start the ball on offense. If you're Fancy, though, I will say low-key, you want to play with a lead because you want to force him to have to pass. So Fancy is going to be winning games with his defense. One of the things coming into this matchup that I feel like we need to talk about is just kind of the schematics coming into this. You're going to see Fancy probably going to be in the Eagles offensive playbook. That's what he's been in for a while. He won his first belt in Colts, and then I think he won his 2nd belt in Lions, but has kind of landed in Eagles for really the majority of the latter part of the year. And he's going to be running a lot of normal wide close, trips, tight, and flex. Those are kind of his 2 main formations. And I got to say, this has been kind of a cool competitive year. We've seen a ton of relevant offenses, defenses. I think we've seen over 15 playbooks on the MCS stage. I think we've seen over 7 different defenses ran on the MCS stage this year, which is crazy. You just don't see that a lot. But anyway, yeah, you are going to see Fancy in the Eagles playbook. So the big thing about this playbook, #1, you have play action blocking with a short post right there. You also have another play with a little cheat flat. And that play also has a return route. And then that play also has a short post over the middle of the field. You also have Y sail with the stock fade and a deep corner. This, in my opinion, I think this is still the best offense of the game. A lot of people really like Niners or Saints because of doubles of flex close. But I personally really still like Eagles. Also, Big Tay coming into this matchup, you're going to see kind of a mirror match defensively, very similar defenses to one another. Big Tay is going to be either running crossfire is going to have that guy come in that gap, or he's going to run kind of the disengage pressure off of that gap. Those are really the 2 main defenses you're going to see, both based out of cover 4 shells, both really centered around switch stick and a double safety go defense. And Fancy going to start off with motion halfback angle wheel. This is a super underrated route combo. I actually have to add this to my playbook. So this is a speed out. He's going to stem this up to about 10 yards. Now what the meta is, what most people run is a cover 4 with a hard flat. This hard flat is really the key to this route combo. So what you can do this year is if you use an outside receiver on a drag and the slot receiver on an out, this flat will actually play this route because it's a lower route and it's a hard flat. So watch how this defender is going to get isolated in this combination here. And you see how he bites just a little bit here before he's going to go back to the flat. That's going to give us all the space we need to be able to attack with the speed out. Nice read from Fancy to start the game off and really just attack that cover 4. I think really the key for Fancy is efficiency on offense. That is his biggest key. When his defense is going to get stops, I'd be shocked if it didn't. He's got the best defense in the world because he has the best switch stick in the world. So the big thing for Fancy coming to this game, no D-line picks, be efficient offensively, try to get layup throws. Big Tay against TJ gave up a lot of layup throws, a lot of underneath stuff early. So you see this is an example of that. This combination, this is pivot seams. You're just going to stem this all the way up. It's going to almost run like a kind of like a fade from the slot. You got this little 5 in out here. Really, we're just isolating this defender. If this defender goes back, we're going to throw this. If the defender squats on this, we have a chance to hit that against cover 2. And then we have a backside post and a pivot over the middle of the field. So really kind of a smash returney type of play. And you see here, see how the read, it's right here. He should throw this out route on time over here every single time. That's where the ball should be going to the out route. We'll see if it ends up going over there. Fancy kind of late. So because he's late, he can't throw it. So now he has to come back and work this combination over with that return route. He's able to hit the return route and really able to keep the ball moving. I think Fancy's one of the more systematic players you're going to see offensively, which kind of plays into the need for this to be very, very efficient offensively. Kind of a weird play. I don't even know what that is. It's just kind of a really a high-low, not a great play, in my opinion. Going to just take a sack. One of the things Fancy does do really well is he will really good pocket presence. He'll step up into sacks. That way you don't lose 5. You really only lose 1. Here's going back to that motion angle wheel. The speed out is open again. And that's where I say, like, Fancy's a very efficient, very systematic approach. You're going to have to stop what he does. He's not just going to call like a ton of bad plays. Seam streak to the tight end, not able to catch it. I'm telling you, that seam streak is so much better wide side than short side. I feel like wide side, you could throw it against anything. Short side, if they have a quarter, you're pretty much going to get mid-zone KO'd every time. Kind of a high-low read there. He's a drag underneath. And again, to me, that's a layup throw, right? Just 5, a couple yards in front of the quarterback, right in front of my face. I just checked down to that drag. And here's red zone combo. We got a drag. We got an in route, short post. This is kind of the standard. Really reading this flat here. He plays the flat, running back open on that cloud flat isolation. And it's going to bring up a 2nd and goal. So pretty balanced drive for Fancy here so far. Big Tay's doing decent. He's keeping everything in front of him, forcing a red zone possession. I think that's all you can really do this year, unless you're Fancy. Unless you have a good switch stick. And really, you're going to see Fancy kind of play similarly. And there's Perry just being a big boy and getting in there. So that's going to be 7-0 for Fancy, and the ball is going to go to Big Tay. First drive for our U-Trips master, probably best U-Trips on the year, goes to Big Tay. He is in a semifinal matchup. Haven't seen U-Trips in a semifinal matchup of an MCS playoff or Madden Bowl scenario in a while. So the last man to play Fancy in a big game in U-Trips in a big type of game scenario, D-Croft back in Madden 21 Club Championship. Fancy beat D-Croft in that one. We'll see what he's able to do against Big Tay. Big Tay coming out with 40 Lions. Laporta is kind of the main player that you're going to see him kind of really capitalize on. Julius Peppers, this guy's a dog on both sides of the ball. Going to be dropping into coverage a lot. And here we go. There's the draw. We already missed one play because of the broadcast crew. And almost missed the second play. Big Tay's going to play really, really, really fast. And he's going to try to quick step and get Fancy in bad defenses. The core of Fancy's defense is essentially a crossfire loop here with a cover 4 base shell. If that's not going to be the blitz, he's going to go with this down B gap where he can drop Julius Peppers into coverage and send 3 and get pretty good pressure against play action. So here we go. We're setting it up. There it is. You see, there it is. Boom. And Big Tay going to go to the draw again and get out of there with about 20 yards. So I think 3 plays, we've gotten 2 runs for 25 yards. I think he probably threw like a little whip route or drag over the middle first play. Again, Fancy wants you to pass. If you have to pass every down against Fancy, it's going to be hard to beat him because his switch stick is just so good. But here we go. Big Tay going to go with a pass. Good switch by Fancy. Good check down to the comeback on the backside from Big Tay. And again, most of what Fancy does, we just explain, kind of his base coverage shell. We get a look at it here. So again, this is Fancy. Like, this is what he's going to do. Like, I promise you. It's going to be very much the same shell the majority of the game. It's going to be cover 4 hard flat on both sides, quarters right on the outside. One of these guys is typically going to be on the middle third, and typically it's going to be the strong side player on U-trips, and he's going to switch to him almost every time, and he's going to run him back into position. He's going to use him to cut different routes based off what you put on the field. So these 2 safeties are really the safeties to watch out for. And essentially, they're going to play like mutual inside quarters. There you see Fancy drops to one, drops to the other one. And good play by Big Tay to take that check down on the backside. One of the things that is, I think Big Tay is really just not a great matchup for Big Tay Fancy is because of how Big Tay plays. And you'll see it here. I'm going to go back to the draw. One of the things that's the key to the game for Big Tay, in my opinion, make the game easy on yourself. Try to limit how Fancy can use switch sticks. So if you're trying to throw big plays down the field, that's not going to work against Fancy. You really need to horizontally dot him. And just like that right there, that's a horizontal strain. Really nice read. There's that cover 4 again. Cover 4. There's the inside quarter. His user's down here. He has to bite here. This is a great read. Throw it right in the seam area of the field. Very nice. And Big Tay is looking good. That's exactly what you need to do to beat somebody like Fancy. You have to stress the best defensive players in Madden 25, you have to stress the defense horizontally as well as vertically. You have to stress them horizontally, though, because the switch stick feature, if you actually think about what the switch stick feature is good for, it's really best for corners, crossers, post routes, some of those deeper routes over the middle. We want to try to, realistically be more horizontal than ever before. And here we go. And he's out of there. Fancy with a big pick. Let's take a look at what actually ends up happening. And again, this is what I love Fancy. Watch what he does here. This is so interesting. But it's literally hard flat, quarter, maybe a middle third, maybe a yellow, right? But I mean, look, flat, quarter, right? What does Big Tay do? It's really a nice route combo. He's just late. Like, if you actually let's watch this play like in real time. He's going to be late. So watch how this kind of plays out. Fancy backs this guy up, so this is a middle third. Okay, he backs him up. Why does Fancy back him up a little bit? Because one of the main money throws here is this tight end streak quick. That middle third will play that when you back him up. So, anyway, the point here is look how late this throw ends up being. Super late in the play. And again, if I'm Big Tay, like, what are you really seeing here is what I want to know. Like, I think he stays here too long. This is obviously going to be open. I mean, it's a great play. Like, this is what I'm saying. This ball has to be thrown right now. And because it's not, honestly, it's a great play call. It's open. Everything's right for Big Tay. He's just too late. He's a step too slow, and Fancy is there, and it's a pick 6. And that can sometimes be the difference between a really good drive and a pick 6. Like, it was just a little slow, a little step behind. Fancy's right there on it. Really nice play defensively. But honestly, Big Tay cooked up a dot. He just was too slow hitting the read. But that's huge. In a game like this, more games in Madden are lost than they are won. And Big Tay very easily could have lost him the game on his first drive. When he was cooking, when he had the right play call, he just didn't execute it well. Right? Comes at the end of the day, comes down to execution. He made the game easy for himself. He got that flat, pulled out by that flat. Right there, wide open. He just misses. He's just late. And here we go, second drive. Going to start out with a draw again. And when you see someone calling a draw this many times, this is his 5th time calling the draw, tells you a little something. The respect for Fancy switch stick is real. And we'll see what happens here. Cover 4 shell again. Quarter. Nice playmaker up the field. This is a really nice playmaker. And honestly, Fancy here, there's nothing else for you to use her. Like truly, you got to get here. And I think he's trying to. But he's out. He's just not. He's in no man's land. Fancy gets caught in no man's land. And this is a byproduct of like it being a very, this is all happening in 3 seconds. It's hard to it's really hard to anticipate a playmaker like that. So it's a good play by Big Tay. But Fancy, this is the whole strategy of his defense. Keeps it in front of him. Keeps everything in front of him. Makes you work. There's a switch onto it. There's that's why Fancy's really trying to. What's interesting is with Fancy's base shell, if you really look at what he's doing, he's primarily trying to stop a couple of key things, and then he's going to use switch stick to stop everything else. That was one of the things that he's trying to stop. You see, there's that quarter, there's that switch on the post. He'll give up the scramble. He's not too concerned with that. Again, you keep everything in front of you. The whole idea is trying to essentially put a box, if you will, around the offense and trying to keep them in that box and make them work up and down the field. There's a switch stick onto that route. There's the comeback route. Nice read by Big Tay, and Big Tay's dotting now. Big Tay's in the game. It's like you it's like you go out and play in the Super Bowl and you get laid out on your first drive, and all of a sudden you come out second drive, you're ready to ball. You realize it's really just football. Big Tay's dotting right now. And there's the draw again. And this is perfect for Fancy. This is what Fancy wants you to do. He wants these red zone stops. This is what I've been talking about a lot throughout this tournament. This is one of my biggest philosophies this year on defense. The best way to get stops, in my opinion, is to bend but don't break, force you to get into the red zone, force you to make a good play in the red zone at about the 10-7. This area is really hard because you can't really run the ball here. You still got to pass. Fancy's going to jump at 6-1, basically running the same defense he's running. And there he just gets outflanked and gives up a layup. This can't happen if you're Fancy, in my opinion. This cannot be the throw. And that's where, I talk a lot about that, like that idea of layup throws. That's a layup throw. I mean, that is such a layup throw. You close your eyes, you complete that every single time. That's the easiest throw in the world. You cannot give that up down in the red zone because guess what that does? Now it's 1st and goal from the 3. Big Tay, a lot of runs that work from 1st and goal on the 3 here. So, there's kind of bad red zone defense, in my opinion, from Fancy there. Just, giving up a flat route, it's like the most basic route. We can't give that up. All right, here we go. 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Pistol tight wide flex. I love this formation. It's got an RPO in it. It's got a counter. It's really good. Got a hitch right on the right. Good defense from Fancy. Force a throwaway. And really, that's just kind of a broken play. That's what a lot happens out here in the red zone. It's these broken plays. You're trying to... It's so easy to turn the ball over here. This is such a key area. That's why you see him go to the halfback zone. But, ooh, that's unfortunate for Fancy and very fortunate for Big Tay. Fancy just doesn't get a shed. Fancy's in a goal line formation. All right, here we go. So, Big Tay did exactly what he needed to do. He needed to go down. He needed to get 7. This keeps him right in the game. He gets ball at halftime, which is a significant advantage to him because, when you get the ball at halftime, you're really never out of a game. And now some pressure shifts back to Fancy. Are you able to execute up and down the field? You got a free touchdown on the pick 6. Your first drive, you had to kind of work a little bit. Let's see if Big Tay is able to make him work here. Jet touch pass. Love this from Fancy. Again, just trying to make the game easy. If you're not calling a jet touch pass at least once a drive, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. It makes the game so easy when you're able to pop a jet touch pass for 20, 30 yards down the field. Here you're going to see, and this is what I like about Fancy's offense. You watch him play, it's going to be the same plays, man. He is just going to out-execute you. And he's so fast with his reads. Able to go to wide sail, stem the corner down 1, drag the slot, quick snap, boom. Going to go wide sail, double streaks. Look for that tight end. There's that quick throw. Catches that, and that's a huge drop, actually. Nice KO from Big Tay. And he's going to get him on a 4th down. This is huge. Big Tay kind of goes with a sellout, all-out blitz, trying to kind of force. You know what's crazy, though? And I talk about this a ton. Fancy's a progression. Like the way he reads the game is progression. If you wait just a second longer, that's probably a first down. That might even be a first down. His user's there. I get it. This, people love to throw this. I feel like this is not really that open anymore. I mean, it is, but it isn't, you know? It's like it's open, and if you get the right animation, he catches it. But I feel like 8 out of 10 animations, he doesn't catch it. Now he's on fourth down. He's going to call a really bad play, in my opinion, and he is going to throw a pick. That was one of the worst plays I've ever seen. And thank God for him, he tackled him, because that was a terrible play. What in the world did he call? Okay, so he goes over to... More Madden games are lost than are won. 4th and 6. You have a stop. Okay? He gets ball at half. Big Tay gets ball at half. This is a big down. For him to quick snap this, I mean, I guess, like, we have a high-low here. But I just hate this play. I really, like... I mean, I can see it a little bit, but like, what? Like, what? There's so many other plays that are better than this. There's so many other plays. Call PA snag, man. Look at this. Big Tay sends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, it is technically open. Like, you should be able to possession that right there. But he's not. And it's lucky that's not a pick six. I just felt like an example, right, of 4th and 6, got to have it down. We're calling PA. I don't even know what that play was. I just felt like it was a really bad play call. But he's the number 1 seed for a reason. And normally, I just didn't like that play call at all from him. And Big Tay, there's a nice switch stick from Fancy. Almost gets the pick. And Fancy's going to lurk one of those. Like, that's what Fancy is going to leave stuff open to jump stuff, especially in the intermediate seam area, seam streaks, corner routes, out routes. He's going to jump stuff like that. He'll jump this running back corner. Good defense from him. There's a sack. And this is what Fancy does best. And I honestly feel like if you watch Fancy's belts, the game against Dez, kind of similar offensive situation where he gets stopped and it's really kind of odd. Oh, nice route from Big Tay. Wow. Okay, so this is the John Beast play that John ran a lot. It's got this little like swirl route, which like stops and then delays over the field, and he's got this little wheel. And basically, there's just no yellow zone on the field. Not a single one. It's a great play by Big Tay, and now we got a ball game. I tell you what, man, I give Big Tay some credit, man. I feel like Big Tay, if you look at all the games that Big Tay and Fancy, with the exception of the Clef game or I don't know what happened in that game for Fancy, but every single MCS game that we've seen this year, I think Big Tay has had the most success against Fancy offensively. That being said, it's always Fancy gets a pick or Fancy gets one lurk, right? But Fancy kind of called a bad play, got himself in a bad position, and here we go. There's that running back short corner. Fancy's a huge fan of that route. Again, I really believe the way to move the ball this year, the way to play offense this year is more of a horizontal high-low game, kind of constraining that cover 4 underneath a little bit more. Yeah, these plays are, I mean, I get it, but this is such a long developing play. Like, yeah, I mean, it's just dead. Like, that's just no way. These aren't very good play calls. Not sure why he's doing these long developing plays. Big Tay's sending 5. He's sending 4. You know, he's going to send them. There he's sending 6 there. You know, there's another drop. I mean, Big Tay's bagging, and Fancy's not playing his best game. Offensively, Fancy's not looking good. Everything's difficult for Fancy right now offensively. Here we go. It's a good play. Post route, open, and there we go. And just like that, Fancy's back, and he's out of there. And kind of got caught up. Almost got a touchdown there. That could have very easily been a touchdown. That's that idea I was talking about, like mistackling, those big plays. And here we go. Fancy kind of needs 7 here because Big Tay's going to get this ball back. There's that drag. Love that play. And see, that's what I don't understand about Fancy this year offensively. I feel like that there are some moments throughout the games this year that I've seen Fancy play, and I've thought this about every single game I've watched him play, where offensively he looks just, I don't know if bad is the right word. It just looks like uncomfortable plays. And then, like, he'll just immediately be back into a good combo. Right there, real quick, I did want to highlight this. This is the difference between Fancy's pick 6 and Big Tay's touchdown. Look at this. It's the same idea. It's a flat that's going to pull this out, and we're going to hit this in this little pocket. Watch when Fancy throws it. This is actually even a better user than what Fancy had. But look, Fancy throws it on time, every time. Boom, touchdown. It's a huge play for Fancy. But I think I really believe this. I've watched Fancy play a lot this year, and I've really tried to study him because he's the best player in the world. I feel like there have been moments where he will look like, I don't know, I hate using this word because he's such a good offensive player, where he looks like just inept or like just lost or like he's cooking up like the most complicated route combination ever, and then he'll get sacked or he'll get a throw out of sack or like something bad will happen, and then it's like it snaps him into gear and he gets back to like his good play. So I don't know. I just feel like I've seen that a couple times from Fancy where it's like he almost, I don't know what the right word would be, like goes into a lull a little bit or just gets into a weird spot offensively where he's not playing his best offense, and then he'll get stopped or he'll throw a pick or something will happen and then he'll just snap back into it. So I don't know why, but I just feel like I noticed that, and that's probably because I do the same thing. There's if you watch me play, there'll be 2 or 3 plays a game where it's like, what in the world are you doing? You don't make offense so hard on yourself. Anyway, all that to say, he's the number 1 player in the world, but just my thought. And let's see if he can get a stop here. 3rd and 4, minute 36 and a half. Big sack right there. That's a timeout. Not a timeout for Fancy. He's going to let the clock run. Interesting. I kind of understand why. Big Tay going to go flat route, whip route. Ooh, flat. Okay. Option wheel. Free play for Big Tay. Free play, sadly. Fancy had the bag, too. Oh, that sucks for Fancy. Just kind of ran into that guy a little early. Free play. Here we go. 4th and 2. Big down. Gotta have it if you're Big Tay. This is huge. And he's going to throw that comeback. That's a KO. And Fancy gets a huge stop. So this is the KO. Again, this is what I was talking about with Big Tay. Like this is so what I was talking about with Big Tay. If we back this up, I don't know how we back. There we go. Okay, come on. Here we go. Okay, look at this. So he threw this on the first drive. He has a touchdown. Again, this is the second time I think he's had a touchdown on this play. He just missed it because Fancy switch stick. He's respecting Fancy's switch stick. Fancy would normally just top this and it would be dead. Watch what Fancy does. He bites because he thinks it's a post. I don't know why, but anywho, or he's just biting on the streak in general. I don't know, but he bites. So at this point, this could potentially be a touchdown. The one underrated thing, though, is Fancy might have deep end zone KOs here. I don't know for sure. Anyway, Big Tay's been throwing this all game long, this comeback. He's late on the throw. Look, he's just a little late, just a little bit late again. And it could be a little late, could just be bad hash mark, could just be lucky play. In general, Fancy gets a KO and a big down, a big moment. And that's a huge, huge play in the game. That's a huge play because now Fancy is able to potentially go up 2 scores before half. I love the jet touch pass call here. Give yourself something. Make him have to defend that. Make him have to respect that. That's good stick work. Almost able to get out of there. Not able to. Brings up a 2nd and 13. Just a very close play. Could have gone honestly either way. I don't know for sure if he was late on that. It seemed like when I watched it, he was a little late on the throw. Not a lot. I'm talking like milliseconds late. But tough throw. It's a tough throw to make, right? It's a tough throw to make, but, you know, it is what it is. Oh, nice throw. Wow, what a throw. This is really nice by Fancy. So this is a cover 2 beater, and he's going to get the cover 2. You see that bite right there? So at this point, Fancy's here. Now he's kind of looking here. He sees that bite, and this is a nice free form. He's going to free form it up and to the left here and really just put the ball where only his receiver can catch it, and that's a huge touchdown. This is what we've seen from Fancy all year long, where he'll go through these games and his offense will look a little off. And it's really just, I think it's really just he calls a couple bad plays, or he calls plays that are too long developing. I don't know. Or he's going for his, kind of like Kiv, where Kiv can sometimes go for like, I'm going to catch you in cover 2. So I'm going to, right? I'm going to call like a very hyper-specific play for a hyper-specific defense. But then what Fancy's been able to do all year long is whenever his back's against the wall, his defense has gotten him stop after stop after stop after stop after stop. Every single time he plays bad offense, his defense plays better in these games. It's crazy to watch. Anyway, here we go. Crossfire, good switches, and Fancy's in control now. He's 2 scores up. He's in full control here. He needs to finish this half. And really, if you're Fancy, I think finishing this half essentially equates to don't give up a touchdown. You can give a field goal. Field goal's not that big of a deal. You don't want to, but it's not a big deal. But you do not want to give up 7. Good switch sticks there. There's another pick. Lurked him again. And again, this is Big Tay getting antsy. This throw's open. Take your throw, take your field goal. That's what Big Tay needed to do. Instead, this is what's funny is you would have literally got the same amount of yards. He's late here, right? And it's just hard to read. I think this is just Fancy's defense in general, how good his switch stick is. This isn't very complicated, guys. It's cover 4. It's cover 4 with clouds. It's not complicated. We got 2 wide open players. Instead, we step up. We think we popped him because he switched here. Well, guess what? He's the best switch stick in the world for a reason, and he switched back there, picked. Huge pick, because guess what? Now Fancy gets into field goal range, and he's going to go up 17 points before halftime. That might right there very well could have lost Big Tay the game. That one right there. That pressing, that forcing stuff, that's what Fancy feeds off of. If you're going to beat Fancy, this is why, okay, there's a reason why Clef was able to beat Fancy. Partially could have been maybe Fancy didn't come into that tournament as locked in because he had already made Madden Ball. I don't know. But more than likely, if you watch Clef play in that Zero Chill tournament, what made Clef's offense so hard to stop, I don't love that call. Hopefully he can get a field goal here. He might be out of range. Okay, you can get it. Never mind. Justin Tucker's him. What made Clef's offense so dang good in the Zero Chill event was it was horizontal. It was, I'm going to take my 5 yards every time. Horizontal, horizontal, horizontal. And Fancy couldn't stop it. I think Clef dropped 37 on Fancy. You can't throw post corners and crossers and beat this guy. It has to be underneath routes. Anyway, that's going to be it for the first half. Fancy dominating in a game that really he hasn't even played that good in. All right, here we go. Second half action. Fancy versus Big Tay. And Big Tay, this got to score. This is stay alive drive. Got to score drive. Goes that post again. Good read. But again, what's interesting about that read is that's 50-50 picked. That's 50-50 picked because you're basically guessing. Is Fancy going to jump it or not? Anyway, here, Fancy, another offsides. The second one of the game, I think. Got to be a little better on the user there. Can't have that in these big games. And that's just that's a byproduct of Big Tay's fast pace, his tempo, him snapping the ball quick. There it is. Good read to the running back. That right there is how you're going to beat this guy. It's those underneath throws that he's going to give you. And you have to be disciplined to take them. That's why I think John Beast matches up well against Fancy, because John will just, paper cut you all day. So we'll see. Here, Fancy busts a coverage. Tried to lurk him, missed it. I'm not sure here. This is where Fancy sometimes kind of gets in these, I can cover everything with my switch modes. And I feel like here, it's truly like he's trying to lurk here. He's trying to bait this throw because he knows that's a streak. So what Fancy's trying to do, which is what he actually almost does here, is he lurks here. He lurks here just a split second too long. He needs to get here and take this away. I mean, this was open for a little too long. Maybe he's close, though. I mean, he's still close. And Big Tay's able to catch him over the top for a touchdown. That's a big touchdown for Big Tay. Again, stay alive moment. That's where sometimes Fancy, because his switch stick is so good and so lethal and gets so many turnovers, I think sometimes he can overdo it in situations where he's got a 3-score lead. Big Tay's been struggling. So, in general, obviously it's gotten him 3 picks, so it is what it is. But I do think in that specific scenario, with that specific route combo, he didn't have to, run it that way. I think he could have easily just, given up the comeback or, so anyway. But it's all happening like in 2-3 seconds. You're making judgment calls. You're jumping routes. You're making decisions. So I mean, it's hard. It's the reason why his is my switch stick is not on anywhere close to these guys' levels. So anyway, jet touch pass for Fancy again. I think he's literally called a jet, and that's what Fancy's doing. Like, he's called a jet touch pass every single drive. That time I got him a free 9 yards. What does that do for him? Makes the game easier for him offensively, takes more clock. Right now we're in the position where Fancy's trying to close the game out. Big Tay goes back to this nickel 3-3. I hate this. And that's why I hate it. Like, the Fancy been setting this up all game long. So if you didn't know, Master Tactician, what you can do is when you audible to this play, you can make 1-2 hot routes real quick. I love this combo from Fancy. It's actually a good play. You have a short post on the back. It's basically PA snag, honestly. You have a short post, but then you're faking a jet sweep as your flat route. Anyway, what happens here is I don't think in general he didn't run commit, but for whatever reason, like, play action just got bombed. I don't know. He didn't run commit. That happens on that play sometimes. If you press, sometimes those deep blues. Again, we saw this in the Big Tay game against TJ. I don't think this nickel 3-3 was even remotely effective, and he goes to it, and I mean, he gives up a touchdown, he gives up a big jet touch pass run, and again, Madden games, football games, they come down to turnovers. Fancy has three interceptions. Comes down to explosive plays. Fancy has gotten a couple of really explosive plays, and it comes down to tackling, right? That at the core. That's really what the games come down to. And so, Fancy's kind of dominating in that category. He's up 17, playing really good defense here. We'll see if he's a little more disciplined. Getting the KO there. And if I'm Fancy, I just run that every single play. He will not be able to score consistently if we're in cover 4 drop every play with hard flats running good pressure. He just won't. You got the best switch stick in the world. Throws right at it. There's a KO again. That's why mid-zone KO is so important. Every single defender should have mid-zone KO. If that's not mid-zone KO, that's probably a dot. And you're seeing Fancy absolutely caged right now. See if he gets him on another third down here. Good read by Big Tay. And notice, again, what's open for Big Tay? It's these underneath. Here we go. 1st and 10. Ball on a 31. Got him again. Got him again. You can't. I actually love, this is one of my favorite plays out of U-Trips, low key. It's slot out, but you put the tight end on a crosser, like a short crosser. This could also be stutter curl seam. I actually think it is. Yeah, this is stutter curl seam. So he just flat in route and then stemmed this up or streaked him. Anyway, the point being, if you're Fancy, what are you trying to do? Yeah, like, what are you trying to do? I think that just is a mistake. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I think it just made a mistake at the end of the day. And again, we talk about explosive plays. How's Big Tay hanging around? 2 really explosive plays. If you watch the first matchup between Big Tay and Fancy, he had 3 touchdowns. Every single one of them was an explosive play. Every single one of them was. So that's kind of, that's kind of what we're dealing with here. I mean, you're in complete control of the game twice, and 2 touchdowns in the second half have been 1-play scores, and really just hate to criticize him because he's gotten 3 picks, but like, feel like fairly unnecessary switches. Just based off situation. But anyway, move on. Jet touch pass again. First play of the drive. Why? Make the game easier. He's on conservative, right? Just trying to make the game easier. I don't think it's interesting to me that Fancy's doing it every single time in an MCS game against a top tier player. I probably wouldn't do that, but consistently once a drive or so. Going to fit that tight end seam string. There you go. That's a big catch for him. That's normally KO. That's what I was talking about earlier in the video. You get a couple animations your way, and that's a dot. Sometimes you get that animation, sometimes you don't. It just kind of depends. Anyway, I'm going to go to tight end spot. Dude, Big Tay is sending everybody. He sent 6 right there. Going to go pivot seams here for Fancy. Speed out on the left side, tight end post. Look for that speed out. Had it, missed it again. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like that throw. Maybe that guy can lurk it occasionally, and he just stays away from it. Anyway, nice read to the post over the middle of the field there. All right, here's that crazy route combo. And surprise, he took another sack. That route combo hasn't been it yet. We go shoe clock. Is shoe clock on? Oh, yeah. Okay. Tight end seam streak. Ooh, got him again. Dang. That's the second time he got him. So right here, Fancy goes. It's literally, he just catches him in cover 2 again. If you're Big Tay, what are you doing? I guess you're sending everybody. But, and honestly, that's probably why Fancy called the last play, was to try to catch him in cover 2. Caught him here. Boom, touchdown. It's, Big Tay is, I think at its core, like, Big Tay's overextending because he's trying to get a stop. He's trying to really get a stop quick. And that's part of the benefit of what Fancy's defense provides him, right? Which is critical as I was of the last 2 possessions of Fancy's defense. His defense did get 3 picks in the first half, which has provided him a buffer offensively to be able to, basically Big Tay's forcing the issue again and again and again. And, Fancy's making good reads under pressure and hits the sail route, hits the glitchy fade right out of wide sail. All right, let's see. Excuse me. Let's see if Fancy's able to get back to the good defense. That's what I want to see. Like, that's better. Make him take the underneath. That's more what Fancy normally does. 1st and 10 as a running back. Big Tay's hitting it now. A little too late now. And honestly, a big portion of what's going on right now, 17-point ball game. Clock plays a big factor into what routes Big Tay puts on the field and what coverages Fancy's running and how Fancy switch sticks those coverages. Like, that's a very underrated element of what's going on here. Which is why I was so critical of the 2 one-play scores. I felt like situationally, you didn't have to do all that. And here we go again, another big play. Gosh dang it, man. Like, you can't blame, like, what? I don't know what zone that is. I want to say it's an inside, but they both fan out so much. Like, that could have been deep pass, but I don't know. I don't know what that was. Regardless, Big Tay has 21 points in the second half from 3 big plays, from 3 busted coverages. 21 points. Like, I feel like Fancy is objectively not playing that great defensively. It's just he's made a couple really good, like, really amazing plays. I don't know how to word it. Like, it's just surprising that he's given up so many big plays when I don't feel like he really has to. And here we go, onside kick. This is going to be the big thing here. Big Tay's already going to start trying for his own sides. Goes with the high kick, catches the high kick, and now we have a ball game. And now you're going to see, I guarantee you, Fancy's going to tighten up defensively, and I bet you money that he's going to switch stick pick him or he's going to play better defense. I promise you, Fancy's going to play tighter defenses here. Right here. Here we go. And there's a flat layup throw. But good read. Yeah, I love onside kicks being this effective. They're not this effective in real life, by the way. Anyway, here we go. Almost got him. That was right there. He's right there. Fancy's right on him. I'm telling you, he's going to tighten up defensively. Situationally, this is how it always goes. He kind of makes a couple plays, and then all of a sudden he's like back, and he's just like locked back in, like the caged, like absolutely caged. Perfect switch stick. Like that's what I think's so funny. Like look at this. This is a cage. This is the same play that Big Tay scored the touchdown on. This is the same play that he scored the touchdown on. This is Pat slot out again with the fade or stutter curl, same either one. But you have the short crosser, and look what he does. He switch sticks onto the inside quarter, lurks this backside in route, and then he switches back here, lurks this route, and then he carries it. Look at how good. Like this is what I'm saying. This is what drives me nuts. That's why I was so frustrated that he gave up another big play. Like look how perfect that defense was. Just insane. Just insane. It's like when if Fancy keeps his foot on the dang gas defensively, I don't know anyone that can really seriously move on him. Like I haven't seen it yet this year. I have not seen someone except Clef. I guess Clef was the only one that I really and you know, again, who knows how. I didn't really even get to see that whole game. I just saw the score. Anyway, there's perfect defense again. There it is. That sucks. That's perfect defense. That's why he's frustrated. He's talking to the camera. That's perfect You can't play defense. I mean, I guess he could have stayed on it, right? But I mean, here, look, I think he meant to go here. I think he 100% meant to go here and take that away completely. He calls I don't know for sure if that's a cloud. It's some type of deeper flat zone, whether it's a curl flat, a cloud flat, I don't know. But this is going to play this corner, so that's dead. Technically, Big Tay could check down here and probably get the first down. He throws into 4 people. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he catches that ball. And they all have KOs, by the way. So, I mean, that's just a fortunate play for Big Tay. And that's what you needed to get back in this game. You got a fortunate onside kick. You got a fortunate throw right there. And now, you know, this is where we see it. So, Fancy, Sun 4. Again, it's a cover 4 every single time. There's a cloud. He can't animate for the interception. That's the 3rd time he's gotten fortunate in about 4 plays. That's perfect defense again from Fancy. Runs cover 4, but then cloud flats that tight inside corner. Here we go, cover 4 again. Great read from Big Tay. See, if you're Big Tay right here, this is why I want to see you go back to that horizontal. That horizontal game, you have plenty of time now. Like, you just need a touchdown, and you're right there. So this is like, you got to have it. Big play drive. He gets a free play here. He's going to force it, throw it. It's probably a touchdown. That could have very easily been a catch. Fancy is falling apart defensively. Like, the unfortunate stuff, the mental, like, this is very much so, like, Big Tay's got a really big shot right here to get back in this ballgame. This is a huge drive. Fancy's got to clutch up, get a stop here. And really, like, he's been right there again. Gets a possession animation. You see, Fancy's really frustrated. Like, he's really, really, really frustrated with how it's going. Again, Big Tay got very fortunate on a lot of things that happened on this drive. Got to lock up. First and goal from the 5, 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Good sack there. That's a huge sack because now Big Tay can't really run the ball. And this is what Fancy, this is where Fancy really shines defensively when you have to pass, especially down here in the red zone. There's another sack, another shed for a sack. Almost got a fumble. 3rd and goal from the 9. Very easily could have been a fumble. Probably why Fancy was so frustrated. Going to audible to trips. Going to get the wheel route and the stem down post combination. He's looking for that wheel route against cover 2 on that left side. This is a tough defensive call here. He is going to go cover 2. That wheel route's going to be wide open every single time. That is one of the most basic red zone combinations in the game, and that's one of the biggest. That is one of the biggest dots of Big Tay's career. Look at this. You call a post route, you hot route a post, you stem it all the way down. It runs like a little sharp slant. Watch this cloud flat. If they cloud flat here, he will get manipulated every single time. Watch that cloud flat. That cloud flat thinks he is a quarterback spy. He runs all the way in here, and now you've got wide open real estate, touchdown, Big Tay, and we have a ball game. He needs one stop. He somehow needs one stop in this ball game. Dude, this is crazy. Fancy played better defense. I predicted he would get a switch stick pick or something crazy. He did not, but he did play better. Gonna go onside again. Why not? And this is actually a really good onside because if you don't get it, it's a shorter field for Fancy to work. Fancy's gonna get it. You go score touchdown. You go score touchdown. You go score touchdown. He's gonna get caught. The fact that he got caught is bad for him because not only does it take the touchdown off, but now he can't clock the game out. That's like perfect for Big Tay. That he is getting so fortunate in this game. Like that is exactly what you want to have there. All right, here we go. Little RPO bubble screen. Nice bubble out there to the left side. Nice juke. That's a huge touchdown for Fancy. Like, that's like a sigh of relief. Okay, we can breathe. And Big Tay is like, uh-oh. That was like my stop. That was my play. Yeah, this game is a crazy game. This is a crazy game, boys. A lot in here. A lot that kind of... I don't know, man. A lot to be learned from this game. It's a nice RPO bubble situational call there. And really nice, honestly. This is going to be like a couple yards. But again, missed tackle. Missed tackle. Huge missed tackle. All right, here we go. Fancy needs to stop to finish this out. And there's that again. And that's what? He's 3 for 3, 4 for 4 on that. I mean, every single time he's hitting that. Fancy doesn't, I mean, if you really look at his defense, it really doesn't adjust that much. It's basically cover 4 every time. And he's got it timed with the pressure and the switches, and it's obviously elite, but it's the switch stick, it's the pressure, it's the knowing what's going to be open and how I fix my problems. Cover 4. Good playmaker, missed it. That's what worries me about the John Beast game is if Fancy does ultimately match up with John Beast, I think John Beast is really good with the playmaker, and that could give Fancy some issues. Anyway, here we go. Corner route, not there. Good check down to the drag. Missed tackle. Missed tackle, first down. Missed tackle. That's huge. He dove on bounce too, by the way. Didn't fumble. Shout out to the dolphin dive. There it is. Oh man, Fancy just can't put him away. I think that's why he's so frustrated. Is like he has just not been able to get the knockout punch that he wants to finish the game. There's that middle third. He's gonna switch there. Oh man, Big Tay had the corner. Yeah, there's a lot in here, man. But really, it comes down to this is what I think is interesting. But it's like at the highest of level. Look at this. This is basically the show. I'll show you off of the pause here. I don't know what Fancy's doing with his user. Like he's out of position here. Okay, crossfire. So take a look here. Actually, he kind of adjusted a little bit. Never mind. Let's be a KO. It is 3rd and 10. That was a cover 2 to the right. He kind of rolled to the right there. You'll probably see his bread and butter coverage here. All right, here we go. Got to have it down. 3rd and 10. What's Fancy going to go to? Vert hook. Quarter. Switching onto this guy. Jumping the tight end. And good KO. Sometimes that can actually be a catch, crazy enough. Have your Big Tay, what do you do here? Do you take 3 and go for the onside? That's what he's going to do. Going to cut this to a 7-point ball game. That's why that touchdown was so big for Fancy. Because now if he gives it up an onside, Big Tay still has to go score a touchdown, ultimately. There's John. Gonna kick it deep here. Yeah, I guess you have to kick it deep there. That's kind of an interesting decision by Big Tay. He really believes he can stop Fancy for 10 yards here. Which, I mean, situationally, you're in a tough spot. I mean, just the way, 60 seconds basically. But he kicks it deep. This means he has to get a stop basically right here. I mean, 1 or 2 first downs, the game's over. Going to go with the fake jet touch pass. Good call by Fancy. Big Tay doesn't fall for it. He gets sacked. That's exactly what he needed to do. And Big Tay is right there with him. He is right there. This is kind of a low-key not really a rivalry for Fancy, but for Big Tay certainly is. This is Big Tay wants this one. He definitely wants this one. This Fancy knocked him out of, I think, the ultimate kickoff. Oh my gosh, good KO. 3rd and 16. And Big Tay is playing really good defense. He really is. These windows are tight. What do you call 3rd and 16? Got to have it down. Not in a bad spot. Like you kick it, you're not. It's okay, right? It's not ideal. It's okay. Gonna go to the 5-out play. Running back should be there. Good read. That's a great read. So this right here, this is why they call this play. It says pivot seams out of doubles close. What you have here is you have this kind of fade, right? Slight fade to it. So if this is a quarter, this quarter is going to jump this route just enough that you can throw this route right in here. And then if they cover to you, then you could either hit that or you could hit that. And then also you have, if they, let's say they switch stick to it, if you look here, you see he's going to have that speed out there as well. And then this is kind of just a backside check down read. But that's really the main route that you want to hit against a cover 4. Gets it perfect rack or perfect catch animation for him. Able to go down and put himself in a position to get out of this game. This has been a crazy game. Crazy semifinal matchup. Crazy tough game. And Big Tay definitely up for the challenge. It's going to be GG's. That's going to be it. Fancy's going to move on to the finals against John Beast for the Madden Bowl. And John Beast versus Fancy. This is for the Madden Bowl. This is the MCS Madden 25 MCS playoff final Madden Bowl, Super Bowl, whatever you call it. The biggest game of Madden 25. It's in London, which is weird. It's like cool weird. I don't know why they're playing in London, but they're playing in London. And kind of a cool little arena here. And, kind of a lot to talk about here. But this is Fancy. And Fancy coming into this game is the #1 player in the world. He's been the best player by far in Madden 25. He's really, I think, kind of the player that has shown that there is a significant amount of skill gap in Madden 25. And that skill gap primarily is switch stick. Fancy is got the best switch stick in Madden 25, the best switch stick in the community, and that's pretty much why he's been able to be super successful. It's primarily because of his defense. Now, that being said, I did want to break down kind of his team here and just take a look, as this is kind of the in-game team and what you see here. So, a couple things. First and foremost that I want to point out is this ability right here, Pass Protector, is pretty key at this point in the year. The combination of Pass Protector and the all-day ability is really helpful for countering a lot of the sheds. So that's the main ability you need to kind of have at least. I'm surprised at how few Pass Protectors he actually had in here. I personally suggest having more than he does. But anyways, as you see here, his entire offensive line is 0 AP, except I bet both tackles have 1 AP Pass Protector. I personally have it on everybody, just because it reduces the instant sheds. Anyways, that being said, he has Saquon Barkley. He has 11 AP on his quarterback. Drake May, he has basically everything on him. He has Master Attack, Gunslinger, Pass Lead Elite, Conductor, literally everything. I guess he doesn't have Conductor because it's Master Attack, but everything you could want. And then on his receivers, all of them are 0 AP. So pretty much the majority of his AP is going to be on his quarterback. He does have this big William Perry card for the goal line, and that's going to be pretty much his squad. Now, what it appears to me, just based on the roster construction here, is he's rocking 40 Eagles, probably. And so the 40 Eagles theme team is probably the best theme team right now. Theme team is not really as big of a deal as it's been in previous years because of how good the combine cards are, because they're able to get so many different team chemistries. But anywho, that being said, that is a look at the lineup. And then I want to talk a little bit about the scheme that we're going to see from Fancy in this game. So right out of the gate, 1st and 10, ball on the right hash. And again, Fancy's got the ball on offense. John Beast's going to be in the Patriots uniforms. Fancy's going to be in the Cowboys uniforms. And the biggest thing here starting off is this is going to be a very similar matchup But the main difference is Fancy is going to be in Eagles offensive playbook and Zombies is going to be in the 49ers offensive playbook. Both of these guys are rocking dollar on defense. If you guys want to learn these schemes, they're in my school community. I have a breakdown on Niners, I have a breakdown on Eagles, and I have a full dollar defensive ebook that I actually just completely revamped recently. So if you're not a member of our school community, it's only $10 and it literally gets you access to the every piece of knowledge that you could possibly need to take your Madden game to the next level. So if you're looking to improve, you can sign up for that. The link is going to be in the description below. But the main concept here that we're going to get from John defensively is we're going to get 1 of 2 blitzes. This guy right here is pretty much going to be the blitzer majority of the time, and he's either going to crossfire blitz or you're going to see his user walk down. He's going to hit this guard, and this guy is going to engage. When he does this engage, he can drop this guy out. One of the big keys to the game, in my opinion, and this is kind of the big key in Madden 25 as a whole, is the main coverage shell that you're going to see is some type of cover 4 shaded down with a user in the middle of the field and potentially another hook. Not always another hook. Occasionally, another thing that you'll get out of this look is you'll get, like, let's say this guy on a hook and then the user on the other hook, right? Or vice versa. They'll put this guy on the hook and the user will be on this hook. The reason they're doing that is to try to defend the middle of the field a little bit better. The point of this, me breaking down this coverage, though, is because what you're going to see Fancy do offensively is, and this is what I think Clef really did to Fancy, the only person in Madden 25 that really just kind of popped Fancy, at least in the MCS from what I saw, was Clef in the Zero Chill event, which is very similar to this just in terms of how the players are going to be playing with 99 speed and a lot of abilities and everything like that. And the way that Clef really attacked kind of this crossfire cover 4 base defense was essentially trying to throw the ball in this area of the field. Really, this kind of basically this little box right here, this rectangle was really the primary position in which you're going to see them attack. So what are the route combos that attack? And this is why I think Eagles is actually a better playbook than 49ers. I like both offenses. Both offenses obviously can be ran at a very high level. I believe that this game is for $250,000, and I believe Fancy's already made, like, I want to say, I don't know how much he's totally made in the Madden Bowl aspect of this, but he's already won 2 finals this year. So a lot of people are considering this, if he wins this game, to potentially be the best year anyone's ever had. The reason I'm kind of saying all that is just to point out, like, this is the highest possible level of the game can be played at. And what you're going to see in Eagles is you're going to see this little return route right here. You're going to see what makes this offense really good is a short post, a streak, and then you can get a flat and a little running back streak. So what this route combo does, and this is something that we break down, is number 1, you can throw the ball in this area, you can throw the ball in this area, and then you can throw the ball in this area. Then you have clear outs as well on both sides. So anyways, that is kind of the chess match that John is going to have to adjust to throughout the game, and that's kind of how Fancy's offense is going to play. All right, let's take a look at the first play here. And we are going to see, first and foremost, just want to go over the route combo so that you can kind of see everything. And this is going to kind of lay the blueprint for everything. So as you look here at the defense, as you see, John Beast is going to send 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's that crossfire cover 4 concept. What typically happens is they're going to switch stick onto one of these safeties and try to lurk a deep post or a short post over the middle field. The reason this matters is because this hard flat right here, you've got this little return route in this window, and then you've got the running back about to break free in this window, and you've got this guy. So what this does practically is, because if you think about it, this ball is going to be thrown kind of right here. This ball is going to be thrown about right here. And then this ball, if you think about it, it's going to be thrown right here. So what that does is it creates kind of a triangular passing concept that is super difficult to defend. So as you see, there it is. There's that return route. There's that running back route, which John Beast, as you see, he's switch sticked here. He's mid-pointing these 2 routes, but he still can't use both of them. And then notice John Beast actually makes a crazy, crazy interesting play. and Fancy has a touchdown on the first play. The reason switch stick is so good and it's so important to learn how to properly switch stick in this game is because it limits big plays if done properly, and also it's happening so fast. If you actually watch this play kind of play out from beginning to end here, you're gonna see just the quickness of things. And you see there's that touchdown, but notice Fancy takes the check down underneath, and he's gonna check down to that little return route. Another thing that you're going to see from both of these guys on the offensive side of the ball is they're both going to be playing on conservative. In this year's game, there's a lot of fumbles, and so you're going to see them play on conservative. Another little tip a little thing that John is doing that a lot of people don't realize is he comes out in double safety go and he audibles into whatever the coverage is that he wants to call. That's a pretty commonplace thing that's been being done all year. But one of the patches in this game basically caused it. These safeties would normally be like down here. And if you have a safety down inside of about 8 yards, really 8 yards or less, if you put them on a middle third, if you put them on a deep half, if you put them on in really anything except for a quarter, they are going to basically get burned over the top. They're going to backpedal really, really slowly. And so you notice here that John B's, he's still coming out in double safety go, but what he does is he kind of audibles and then he clicks onto these guys and freezes them so that they're at 10 yards ish off the ball. It's a super underrated little thing that he's going to do. And there you actually get a look here. And this is like super, I think I wish they would show the defense side of the ball more because I just feel like it'd be cool to see it. Take a look at the shell from John. It's like one of the only shells you're going to be able to see throughout this game of actually like the play art. But anyway, this is the basic blitz concept. This is I believe that this is actually, he's using the strong safety version of the crossfire blitz. But the reason that this matters is because what he's able to do here is he's going to deep half this guy and he's going to hook curl this guy. So what that does is it steals him a player underneath in coverage, and this player is going to kind of move to the middle of the field slowly, so he's going to kind of go into that seam area of the field. Another thing that Fancy's going to do is he's going to flip around. One of the things I always look at is how much wide side tight end versus how much wide side slot receiver. Kind of an interesting thing to watch here. Looks like John checks into the cover 4 now, and we're going to see, a send 3 with the back off, and look at this here. You got hard flat. There's that little man up on that back side here, and essentially Fancy's running streak, corner, flat, and then it looks like a streak and a backside drag underneath. So essentially at this point, Fancy already kind of knows the coverage and he knows what's going to be open. He really knows that this is probably not going to get open over the middle of the field. And then he knows that this could potentially be an option, or this backside drag if he comes open late. More than likely, John is going to use the drag. As you see, he actually switch sticks here, which is kind of a crazy switch. I don't feel like he really needed to do that. And Fancy's going to scramble out and get a couple of yards. So again, early within this game, you're already kind of seeing kind of the keys to the game in terms of being able to execute against the meta. Another thing that Fancy does a really good job of within his play calling is he's going to run a lot of jet touch pass. And then what's really interesting is he's kind of setting this up. He actually did a tip video on the MCS Twitter or X page. And on that page, he did a tip video that basically explained that what he's doing with that jet touch pass, that's kind of essentially just like a constraint play. He's calling that. And then essentially what's going to happen is late in the game, he'll go to like a fake at the right time. And that's a lot about trying to set up kind of if he can get you to commit to the jet touch pass, then the fake jet touch pass with the pass option over the top is a potential way to get you out of position offensively. So it's just little things. Again, another thing that Fancy's doing a lot is he's doing a lot of switching or a lot of flipping of his formation. There's that same play, cheat wheel post. This is one of my favorite routes and the combos in the game for this cover 4 based defense because it creates that middle of the field triangle. That middle of the field triangle is really a concept that Fancy's been using for years. Maybe not that exact play, but that kind of concept of creating a triangular read within the middle of the field to attack pretty much every, heavy cover 4 based defense. That was a really good switch stick by John. And another thing you're noticing within this game, because it's such send 3 and send 4 dependent, you're getting a lot of quarterback scrambles, stepping up into the pocket, really important this year, trying to get those scrambles. And again, here we see it again. He's going to flip. Pretty much every time he's flipped that I know of, he's gone to this play so far. So we go back to it again. That time we got a crazy shed from John. and that is Williams. I believe that's Mikael Williams, the combine card. Super good player. Always take note of kind of what they're doing with their team as well. That's obviously a big deal. Again, here you're going to see YSL. See, this play right here has really not, and this is actually crazy pressure, and he threw that for real. That is insane. Okay, so situationally here, 3rd down and 12. Fancy kind of does something really interesting here. So he goes to Y sail, which the whole point of this play is you're really looking for the seam streak, which is rarely open anymore against a good player. But what you can get is, let's say this is an inside quarter. That inside quarter is going to kind of lurk to here, and you can actually pass lead this up into this little spot if this guy is on a cloud. So what commonly is going to happen is you're either going to pass lead this, or John is going to switch stick. Let's say he switch sticked over here to this guy. Then that would open up kind of this backside in route. What we see in John's defense here, and it's like super little, part of this has to do with the fact that he's getting screamed at, honestly. And notice it's a lot of send 3 from John. But anyways, the biggest thing here is you're going to take a look at this. If we just kind of phrase it, look at this, a quarter. You can actually throw this right here under pressure, possession catch. Obviously, he's in the flow of a game. He's getting blitzed. So what Fancy's doing here is he's going to spin out of the pocket, let this guy kind of pick this guy up, and then he's going to look for his in route. So a couple of things here, honestly. Situationally 3rd and 12, so this is kind of like, I need to get my first down, or I'm going to take 3 more than likely, because this is a tough area of the field to score. But one of the things that I just think, at the end of the day, he missed this. And then also, like, one of your first reads on the play is going to be this flat. In this game, you could break so many tackles. Like, I feel like that could be a potential read, but Fancy's going to spin out here. And then he's also, so you see there's a spin out. And now right here, this is what this right here, this is a great switch stick from John, because John knows the play. He's going to roll back with this hook zone and basically get depth, and he'll probably pick this off. Again, this guy's wide open. You can't really throw it at that point. It's too late. But to me, I don't love, I guess I kind of know what, risky throw. Ends up getting KO'd, and that's going to be it for the first drive. So it's actually really fortunate from Fancy that he's able to get 3 on that, in my opinion. I think that read was not his best. I understand that, it's hard to truly get back on that. That's a really hard switch stick ultimately to be able to make, because the momentum of the player, you're having to turn him around and run him back. But anyway, obviously super important. Let's learn from John in terms of his team. He is rocking Jaden Daniels at the quarterback position with 9 AP on his quarterback. Now, what's really interesting is a slight difference. You got Kyle Long at center here for John, probably for that pass protector ability. You have Tyron Smith on the outside with, it looks like, edge protector. So not sure exactly what he's doing ability-wise, but in general, he's also rocking Kyle Pitts. I believe this is for defense because he gets mid-zone. But anyway, still getting the all-day. That's kind of the main offensive line ability. And then he's going to be using Christian Watson, Deion Sanders, and Randy Moss as far as I still think John is rocking 40 Eagles, might be rocking 20 Cowboys. I love that team personally. He's got Saquon here with goal line back. Really not, still got Perry in there. Not a whole lot different. But the biggest thing is Jaden Daniels is going to have set feet lead. I don't believe Jaden Daniels is going to have pass lead on him. And Jaden Daniels has backyard quarterback and not master tack. And then this is, I believe, Fancy's defense. It's got the Devin McCourty Super Bowl card. And then, Kenny Houston. Really don't see that. That's kind of interesting. Pat Pete, Cooper DeJean, Malcolm Jenkins. That dude is really good. But anyway, all right. So we'll go ahead and get into this. So again, John is in the 49ers playbook. Fancy's, and really why you watch Fancy to me is for his defense. It's just, he's so good defensively. Like, look at that switch. And it's just like, the thing is, when Fancy switch sticks, it's like just perfect. I mean, it's literally, he runs the route for you. Like, that's what I think it just makes him. And he'll switch stick. Look at that. Switch stick down, switch stick back. right, early and gets a big play. And that was not, very easily could have been a dealing pick. Now, again, John is going to be in the 49ers offensive playbook. It looks very similar to Eagles. The major difference is really the position of the receiver that's next to the tight end. And then also, this receiver is going to be on the line of scrimmage. So it's honestly spaced out a little bit, in some ways better, some ways worse, but it's spaced out a little differently. Anyway, you're gonna get a lot of PA snag. PA snag is really good because the play action is gonna help pick up pressure, and then also you're gonna get a lot of this like streak, post, slant, drag. This is basically a meshing combination from John, and you see there, great switch stick, great switch stick. He switch stick super late. John actually has a touchdown there, but that's a super hard to throw to make with set feet lead because you're running out of the pocket. So good switch stick by Fancy, and that brings up a 3rd and 1 in the first drive. This is another really good play from 49ers playbook. This is, I don't know what exactly it's called, but it's got a glitchy fade on the left side. There, John's gonna, and this is what I talk a lot about, man. Like 3rd and 1, this is not bad defense by any means by Fancy. But what's interesting to me, 3rd and 1, it's kind of an interesting play call. What basically happens, why does John call this play, right? Well, he thinks you might run cover 2 here to the left side. So if you do run cover 2, he's got a chance for a big play over the top here. If you run, so basically you have to run 2 quarters here. He knows this guy's going to go out. And so what that does is it opens up this box that we were talking about earlier. Now, what Fancy ends up doing, and this is the thing I don't love, he doesn't have any hard flats here on the right side. This is what I call a layup throw. This is one of John's probably first reads on the play. It's just free, and it's going to be a free, 5-10 yards because I talk a lot about it, but defensively, what I want to do is I want to try to take away the layups, and I want to try to take away the deep one-play touchdowns, and then I want to try to, basically force you to beat me in the middle of the field. This is another thing that John does a lot. This combo is really an interesting one, and I'm just not sure why John loves this combo, but he loves this one. This little table route, little short corner, and then this drag, he's going to playmaker him back. So it's almost like a zig. It's like a deep, deep zig. And what you're going to see here is, notice, Fancy switch sticking here to go guard the corner. That's probably why he likes it, because then he playmakers back, and he's able to kind of, essentially isolate your user that way. What's really cool about the way these guys draw up the route combinations is even in a game where you can effectively user everybody on the field with switch stick, they're still doing a lot of isolation concepts that force certain coverages. And here you get it right here. Take a look. He goes that exact same play call 2 times in a row. Fancy goes to DB Fire 2 on a 2nd and inches. He does that a lot where he'll mix in DB Fire situationally. I just don't know if this was the situation to do that. To me, 2nd and inches is kind of a shot play anyway. Maybe, I don't know for sure what the thought process was. But anyway, John goes right back to the same play. And that's exactly what I was talking about with that fade. There you see he catches him in cover 2. And that fade is able to attack. Another thing that Fancy's doing defensively is when he calls cover 2, he's inside quartering both safeties. And then he's going to be switch sticking onto them, and he just missed the read that time. Love this from the broadcast, by the way. Like, this just drives me insane. It's just a little thing, but it's like, we're watching the game. We're watching the game like we're in the actual room. Like this, we got to be back on screen for the snap of the ball. But anyways, if you take a look here at this, you're going to have, this is insane. Yeah, we can't see it. But anyway, you're going to see that Fancy's going to catch an interception. Now, I want to break this interception down because this is probably the play of the game, and I believe that it's super misrepresented what actually happened on this play. As you see, John taps his chest. The reason that John taps his chest is just super important is because John makes a mistake, and there's really 2 forms of the mistake within this play. You could say that John kind of did get a bad break, but it's hard still to not put accountability onto John. Take a look. I want to really break this down. So what Fancy does, so the route combination, first and foremost, it's a short side hot route wheel with a running back streak. And then on the back side here, you're going to get this zig, and you're going to get this little post over the middle. So first of all, why would John call this play? The reason for this wheel route here is because let's say this is a cloud, and let's say this is a quarter. If this is a cloud, typically the cloud will let this kind of get over the top, and you can throw it right here. Let's say for example, it's cover 4, then this running back streak is going to be open right here. So let's say that it's, I'm trying to think of other coverages. Let's say they switch stick to this quarter to take this away. This opens up the middle of the field. So it's a lot of if this then that rules. Anyway, the point is I want you to watch the slot corner on the left side. So you see here, you get the shaded inside vertical hook, which, okay, immediately John knows this is dead. His eyes are, in my what I would assume are probably over here, but he sees that this is a cover 2. So he knows that this guy has a chance to get over the top. The problem with wheel routes on the short side of the field, because as you see, he actually also playmakers this zig, by the way, and this is wide open. Like, this is literally wide open. You could throw this very easily, potentially score. What happens to his wheel route, though, is really worth explaining. Sometimes on the short side of the field, these wheels, they just like kind of stop on the sideline. From what I understand, it's pretty much only on the short side of the field. Now, I will say it's pretty unfortunate that this happened. But if you're John, like, you've already made this playmaker, and honestly, this is going to get open if he runs his route normal, but he's doing the stutter step. John has to have seen this happen before, and this, he sees him running slow. The fact that he's running slow means that he's not getting enough separation or space, and essentially Dion is able to make the play. It's the biggest play in the game so far, potentially the biggest play of the entire game, and it really comes down to a couple different things. John could have thrown it away, right? Is it unfortunate? Yeah, more than likely. It doesn't happen the majority of the time, but I've seen that happen before, specifically on the short side of the field. It typically happens to me if I playmaker or do the wheel from that left side receiver. But anyways, it's a big down and big moment. And the one thing that's fortunate for John is he held Fancy to 3 on his first drive. And he gets ball at half, so he can recover from this mistake. Okay. But that is a huge, that's why he tapped his chest, in my opinion. He knows probably just got to throw that away, right? John was quoted in the MCS playoffs over and over talking about discipline. And, right there just didn't make his best play at the tournament. So kind of a big mistake. And again, was it unfortunate that the receiver stopped? Yeah, it was unfortunate the receiver stopped. You got to just be disciplined and throw the ball away there. But is what it is, and we continue to move on. And John's going to fight through it. Get back in the game for sure. There's that triangular concept. Notice how much Fancy's going to that play. Literally, probably at least 60% of the play calls have been that. So now, what you're going to notice is he mixes in his play calling a lot. But when he goes to the slot fade, he's trying to catch you in cover 2. He doesn't able to do it. A lot of this is like scramble, broken plays, making the most of what you have. And here we go back. This is another red zone. This is Weissel. Now watch this. Watch what Fancy does here. Oh, he's okay. Never mind. Let's take a look at the film though. Look at this right here. You see that backup? Like, to me, that's your throw, right? I don't know we're waiting for this. Like, one of the things that there's this quote I've been thinking a lot about just in terms of switch stick and what these guys do really well, both, is this idea that anticipation beats reaction every single time. It's a quote by Tom Landry talking about, the best way to play is to be anticipating, right, the if this then that rules. And so I just feel like, you got to anticipate those switch sticks over the middle of the field. These guys are and right there, see, this is the stuff that's just crazy. I mean, take a look at that. He switch sticks here, kind of fakes it. Switch sticks again, look, he's here. If he stays on this, right? But Fancy anticipates the switch stick off. John's over here. Look at that. He's over here. This is one of the things to me, again, that's just like, I get what he's trying to do because he's trying to lurk that back underneath. But fundamentally, it's hard to, I don't know. It's just, take away the big play, force the little play. I mean, trying to force a pick there, in my opinion. And trying to, honestly, one of the things Fancy said in one of his interviews was, sometimes people try to do a little too much. But I mean, here he brings this, so another thing these guys do is they drag them into position. So here he drags the yellow inside, which is really good. He switch sticks here because he's reading the play. And he has a guy right here I mean, see how he's dragging him? I think he thinks if he drags him, he can click off and he'll cover this enough. And yeah, I guess he's over it. I don't know. It's just a super big play by Fancy, and I really feel like sometimes when I watch these guys play, it's like, are they? What I wonder is what's going through Fancy's mind as he sees that picture. Is he guess passing? Is he anticipating that John's going to switch stick and then switch stick off? Not sure, but obviously he's going to that triangular passing concept a lot. Another thing you're seeing from both these guys, specifically Fancy here, gets in the red zone. Guess what he's going to do? He's going to run the ball. The easiest way to score is through ground transportation, right? The easiest way to score inside the 5-yard line is to run the ball, and you're going to see these guys run a variety of different runs, primarily zone runs, such as halfback zone, 26 duo stretch. Those are kind of wide zone. Those are some of the main runs that you're going to see down there. And Fancy is able to get in there. So that's huge for Fancy. 10-0. This is a huge drive for John. John obviously knows that, because if John can go down and score 7 and not give the ball back to Fancy with a lot of time left on the clock, it really sets him up very nicely to be able to get right back into the ball game, because he gets ball out of half. And so, like, super big drive for John. You're going to see some of his biggest, best stuff here. Fancy, obviously, a huge drive for him. Again, one of the other things I guess I just realized, notice this. Fancy leaves his safeties down here. John, remember we talked about it, he drags them back to here. Super minor thing, but what this effectively means is pretty much they're going to be in inside quarters. Or the other thing that Fancy does that most people don't do is he'll take, see, he'll be user in here. He'll put this guy in a middle third. And then what you'll see Fancy do is he'll switch stick onto him, run him back so that he gets back. And then he'll switch stick onto this defender. So that's another super common way that he plays. But anyway, so you see here, look at that. Inside quarter, right? And then what Fancy did is he went cover 2 with the inside quarters. This was the cover that John Base actually bombed him on the first drive. Able to hit another big play and another big moment there from Fancy. Our first attempt, ball on the 47. And did he catch that? All right, let me just take a look at the coverage here. So again, this time, what does Fancy do? He goes to that mix-up DB fire look. One of the things I just wanted to point out is look at the coverage shell here. You're going to get inside quarter, soft squat. I believe this is a soft squat, and Fancy uses a lot. Most people don't. This is a vert hook here, I believe. Fancy uses match coverage a lot more, so he's not setting zone drops, which is another real big thing that Fancy does that's different from a lot of people. He doesn't set zone drops. That's why his yellow zones, and if you go back and look at some of his film, his yellow zones drift a little bit deeper. So, one of the interesting things is one of the best ways, and this is, again, going back to the clef game, but take a look at this real quick. Look at this switch stick. Again, Fancy just reads the play. He drags him into position. He's going to click off. Why is he clicking off? Because he knows once John sees this, he's going to jump off, and he's going to go back here. So this is actually a really nice, but he switches here, but he's too slow. He can't get back. This is open. And then take a look. He switch sticks back to Brian Thomas. I don't know why, again, I don't know why you end up over here. Is it because maybe he was trying to switch stick to here? Potentially. But in general, that's a really cloudy read, and somehow John Beast is able to catch the ball, ags him with Randy Moss, and again, taps his chest just like he did when he threw the interception on the wheel route. So, anyway. John Beast's going to go to wide trip. This is one of his favorite red zone formations, and I actually love the combo that he ran right there. Wasn't able to deliver the ball, and that's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. So, all things considered, John, get 7 here and you're good. Goes short side wide trips. One of the combos here you're going to see is you've got this little wheel, and then you have this stem down post. So what happens if this is cover 2 is this guy will suck inside. Doesn't happen here. Fancy stays in his coverage. But what's really honestly kind of interesting, see, throw this. It's actually great pocket by John. Watch this. Scramble up, and then Fancy again, I just think this is it's so interesting to me to watch this the switch stick. So he switch sticks here. I believe Fancy was trying to switch stick here and lurk that, but I think that's kind of the thing with switch stick is sometimes you can. It's very easy. Even the best players in the world are going to mess it up. So I would assume that's what happened there because it doesn't make sense to switch a flat to a flat zone when you have the flat guarding two players. So probably was trying to switch stick to the inside defender and just wasn't able to do it. All right, but one of the benefits here is Fancy's going to be able to get the ball with a minute 56 and have plenty of time to be able to go down and score. All right. So this is a huge drive for Fancy. The reason being is because Zombies gets ball out of half. So if Fancy doesn't go down and get 7, even he has 2 minutes, then Zombies able to get in control of the game. And this happened all game. This is one of the interesting things. I wish we could watch the game instead of these little replays, but whatever. Anyway, little inside zone there from Saquon, and Fancy pops it. This happened several times throughout this game where Fancy just had some runs, man, like that just popped. And the jet touch pass popped, the inside zone popped, and this was just all. What's really interesting is another real thing is like on John when John Beast is on offense, you're seeing that he's audibling around a ton. He's going from doubles to wide trips to bunch to right. He's going to multiple formations. Fancy, by and large, I think every single play of this game, except for inside the 10, was in this normal YF close. Really running this triangle play, and then the triangle play trying to catch you in cover 2, and then really those were the main passing plays, and then mixed in a lot of different runs here. Obviously, there's other things he was doing, but in general, normal YF close, probably 95% of the play calls came from this normal YF close formation. And I have a cool story about the normal YF close formation in this game that is kind of interesting. But here we go. We got a flat running back wheel. There's PA snag. Take a look at this route combo here. So we got streak. This is a huge touchdown. So this is a flat. Why use this flat wheel combination? Because you have a tight end streak. Let's say you get a cover 2 here to the right side. This cloud is going to get pulled out like that. If you get a vert hook, eventually this will clear that, and then this guy has to respect the streak. So that's a big piece of this route combo. On the backside, you're going to get a drag, and you're going to get a short post from PA snag. So take a look at what John does. He crossmans the tight end, so this safety on the left side completely leaves. John's user has to hang here because this will be a touchdown. And so, again, this also anticipation. Fancy throws this on the break. And bada bing, John was switch sticking into position, but can't get there in time. Fancy's able to get 7. Huge 7 for Fancy going towards the end of the second quarter. Little story about normal YF close. Normal YF close was being ran, I want to say, in the Madden Classic. It was being ran in the Madden Classic, and I believe, or the very first tournament of the year that was on regs, this offense, normal off close, was being ran, I believe, by Ghost. I think Ghost found normal off close, from what I've heard, and just kind of crazy. Like, he was running that at the beginning of the year, primarily for the short post, with the seam streaks, right? And this offense has truly stood the test of time as a really, really good formation. That was almost a really good switch check. This is actually this is the most unfortunate thing to me for John right here. So here you go. Look, Fancy, cover 4. More than likely cloud flats, could be curl flats, but probably cloud flats on the outside. Anyway, they're super deep set, and Fancy's just trying to limit the big plays. So as you see here, he switch sticks to this guy, but John has a streak, so he can't switch there, but he is able to get on the outscoder, and he's going to bite down. Now, again, there's KOs all over the field, but that being said, this right here, he catches it. This is not a KO. As you see, I don't think he's lighting up whatsoever. This is just a standard tackle by that defender, because I don't believe that defender, I believe that's Herb Adderley. I think he has mid zone and flat zone. He does not have deep out on him. So very unfortunate for John. If he catches that, that puts him very much so in field goal range. So super unfortunate for John in that situation. Here, John's going to go to a bomb concept and really looking for a couple things here. If he busts a coverage, this will be open. So Fancy's going to have to kind of like handle this post. But then the other thing is John's looking for a quick dot here. And if he can get that throw, which would isolate this defender really, if he can get that throw, then he's able to get a bounce potentially. So you see here, but look, really key. Look at that cloud flat, defend that speed out. That is open, but a really hard throw. And, right, it's just a hard throw to be able to make. And so John is going to playmaker that drag and get a catch tackle, timeout right there. And again, notice, I mean, just one of the real underrated things about cover four that we've seen throughout the entire season is how good of a job it has done at keeping the lid on. If you mess up a switch stick, that's one thing, but the coverage itself doesn't have a lot of huge plays that you're going to be giving up. Here, 4th and 5, super underrated thing that John does. Really good punt here. Because the problem is, with 7 seconds, you can get stopped, and Fancy can get the ball back and kick 3, which would be devastating to John, who's already losing by double digits. And so this punt here, super good, super valuable. He's going to sky kick it, try to just run this clock out, make a tackle, and that is going to do it for the first half. All right, so second half here, and John is going to get ball at a half, and thanks for letting us see the first play. Shout out to the broadcast team. Love it. Love to see it. Love to be able to watch the game. All right, 4:52, and we have a streak, and we have a double streak. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go flat. It's running that flat streak. See, John is just... You're seeing right here. So take a look at what Fancy does. Fancy most of the game has been running this, honestly. Here in the second half, Fancy's going to start going to this a little more with the disengage, or the engage, I guess is technically. But anyway, the thing I'm trying to show you is John runs a lot of this, a lot of that. And so because he runs a lot of that, Fancy's doing a really good job of just switch sticking it. So take a look here. So boom, he's here. This throw is open, but it's you're getting screamed at. And John's probably honestly throwing it. No, he's throwing the drag. That would not have been open. Yeah, just got bagged there. Just got bagged there. Nothing really to it. But again, just notice how Fancy's able to just kind of just cover the field. The main thing that's open is these outside sidelines, which John really hasn't hit. Here's, again, another mixing of DB Fire. Dude, Fancy mixes in DB Fire. That's like that's his second down or third down call a lot. All right, 4th 5, biggest down of the game so far, 17-7. If Fancy gets a stop right here, literally the game could pretty much be over. It takes away John's one advantage that he had of getting the ball to halftime. John is going to go to bunch spread nasty out of the Niners playbook, and he's going to go to smash return. Now notice the route combo that John's going to go to. He's going to go to that short side wheel again. He's going to go running back streak, and then I believe drag, streak, and a little return route there over the middle. Setting up some pass pro. Okay, he's going to go to a corner route. I don't love that, but it is what it is. Guess anticipating there's that cover 2. Watch this slot. See here, look at that. That time he runs correctly, and John just makes a really good read under pressure. Like, that is such a good read because it's kind of covered, honestly. Like, what Fancy does is he goes protect the sticks. It appears I don't know what he exactly did. Maybe he put his hooks on 5 for this down. Could be that. But take a look at the coverage here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got a vert hook, and he's flowing out to here. That's probably on 5. You have Fancy's user here, and then you have about a 10-yard drop from these guys. And then what I don't know here is what this is. It appears like he rolls the coverage this way. But anyways, so John calls the wheel route. So at this point, you really can't throw this. This is going to be open, but if you're John Beast, you're probably anticipating Fancy switch sticking here and taking this away. And this is just, I mean, this is just such a good throw under pressure. Take a look. Fancy does switch stick here. And at this point, John's throwing this. Ah, like that is just such a tight window that he's able to hit. And that's one of the things that I actually really, I will say, it's one of the things I like about switch stick is when you watch the highest level play, the throwing windows are so much tighter than they were pre switch stick, right? Like people are having to throw things, get caught, get tackled because the switch stick is a step too slow. Whereas before, players were just wide open. So I mean, that's a nice play by John right there, able to kind of hit a critical window in a critical moment of the game. If John doesn't convert that, it's massive for this game. But I mean, literally, what I think is crazy is if you literally charted the coverage that Fancy's running, it's majority cover 4 quarters. Right here, this is honestly, and this is what I was talking about. This is just a mistake by Fancy. Take a look here. I think he gets switched off because he gets clicked here and he immediately runs down a step because I think he's trying to be here and run the engage. His whole defense, I guess he gets crossfired. And another thing is Fancy's actually in this play mixing in an actual match coverage, but this guy just gets abused by that. And I really just believe at the end of the day, and this is what I was talking about, sometimes you bust a coverage on accident because of how user dependent everything is defensively this year. You're trying to get your setup in and you get clicked on a safety and you run down a step and it's a touchdown, right? I think right there, just that's kind of the interesting thing about the game is at the highest level. This is what's really interesting is at the highest level, I feel like it's all about limiting mistakes. Like to get to the highest level, you have to be good. You have to be really good. You have to know everything you need to know. It's why the school membership is important because it gives you the knowledge needed, the tools needed to get to become the best player in the world. That being said, when you get to the highest level, a lot of times it's about just the mistakes, right? It's getting caught on the user wrong. It's not getting your setup in. It's making a bad read. We've seen, and this what I also think is wild. And there you see, there's another big run for Fancy. Breaks a huge run out of there. Saquon to the house, and he literally just housed. I think that's a 79-yard touchdown run. And that what's wild to me about this is this a 1st and 10. Fancy's literally just calling this to get the drive started, get to a hash mark, get the clock going, and he ends up getting a touchdown of that. And so again, a couple big mistakes from John Beast. Number one, his run defense not getting the job done. Number two, he had that pick, he had that interception, could have had 2 interceptions. Fancy, on the other hand, major mistake, giving up that touchdown with that mess up on the user, and then could have thrown that interception inside on that, I believe, that first possession that he had. So again, the story of the game really is John Beast has made one more mistake than Fancy's made so far this game. That is really, I think, Madden at its highest level. And here, take a look, and Fancy busts a coverage again. So Fancy will make some of the best switch sticks you'll ever see. Watch what he does here. He reads the play, but what Fancy makes a mistake of, in my opinion, is, and it's super hard because John's playmakering a lot underneath here. So you see John playmaker, Fancy switch sticks here because he's going to cut, but Fancy knows that this is the throw. So watch what he does. Instantly, he switch sticks here, and he's going to try to lurk and kind of top the route. And John is literally just sitting on this switch stick. As soon as he saw him do that, John lobs this up, and Christian Watson takes the top off the defense. Kind of, again, another this is what I don't like. This is from my perspective, again, just watching this, like, just if you just switch here, which again, it's easy to say that when you're watching the play back, or even if you switch, but yeah, I mean, I get it. This playmaker kind of messed things up because you have to leave this guy here because this guy could go across. So, I mean, it's a tight thing. I think what Fancy did is actually really good, though, because I think what Fancy's seriously trying to do is actually trying to bait this throw because he's going to immediately switch here and try to top it. And it just comes down to John Beast kind of got, like, this is what, again, super cool to me about the highest level of the game. It comes down to like a half a second. It comes down to like a half a second there where Fancy switch sticked late, just about a half second. John threw it on time, and he caught him. Touchdown, John. That is Madden at the highest level, where ultimately it's a game of execution, and John out-executed Fancy on that situation. If John throws that, like literally half a second later, more than likely Fancy probably picks that, and the game's over. Instead, like watch his immediate, he's here, and then watch go bang. Like if that's, he's just a slightly late, and it changed everything. So again, little details make a big difference at the highest level. Again, notice that Fancy is running a lot of this jet touch pass. Pretty much every drive he started with a run, and he's gotten a lot of big plays out of the run game in this game. Now, right there, 2nd and 9, but he's not going to go away from the run game. He's still going to use it throughout this game. And then guess what we're doing again? The triangle passing concept. He has called this so many dang times this game. Boom. And I mean, just makes that read super fast. That's a great play by, I think, Kyle Pitts there. Able to kind of lurk over there, get that mid zone. And, Fancy is calling that play. That's basically, that is Fancy's version of bench pivot that Clef did to Fancy when Clef was able to kind of blow Fancy out in the Zero Chill tournament. It was really the only game this year that I saw, at least on the MCS stage, where Fancy didn't really, he just got beat, right? Anyway, 4th and 9. This is the biggest down of the game up to this point. Take a look at what John's going to be doing defensively. And again, the positioning of this user pretty much tells you the defense. Like, it's going to be crossfire or DB fire. And here we're going to get a nice 5-out combo. And we get the crossfire pressure from John. And this is pretty standard 4th down defense, 4th and 9. You're going to put this cloud flat out here because you don't want the speed outs on either side. So you see you pretty much get cloud flats. You get yellows right here. And then what John does, which, is that a safety? Who is that drops into the outside? Take a look at this with me real quick. Take a look at this corner. That is, I don't know what that's got to be a vert hook. That's got to just be a basic vert hook. I don't know what that was. But anyway, the problem is Fancy's pass pro just fails him, honestly. This is going to be a touchdown if he has a second, if he has just a little longer. Instead, he has to throw on time to this, and these are 2 KOs that you're never going to complete this pass. I mean, very rarely will you complete that pass. If he falls down there, he might catch it. John gets the KO and gets the full-fledged stop. Honestly, it's not a bad route combination, and this is, again, the little things make a big difference. John was showing the crossfire pressure. It doesn't appear to me that Fancy set up the crossfire pass protection. At least he didn't run play action. It's obvious that John's running that crossfire. Maybe potentially could have ran DB fire too, but more than likely was running crossfire. Ends up going to crossfire. That little mistake in pass protection. Now John can go down, get 7, and get full. I mean, it gets into control of the game. Notice John goes play action and able to hit that post in a real tight window, and he catches it on 2 KOs. You see Fancy's facial expression, right? Look at this real quick. So you get, I don't know what this is. I think it's just the engage with the blitz here. But anyway, in general, right, you got Club 4. He's lurking here. The problem is I think his flat defender might have blitzed on accident, or he blitzed him on purpose, whatever. But it just doesn't. I mean, I guess he blitzed him on purpose here. Anyways, the point is, Fancy's completely out. Like, he's here, and he just kind of gets broken down with that. And again, this is because it's all happening within a couple seconds. John pops a post, and Fancy frustrated that he caught on the KOs. Again, the thing that I really take away from how switch stick has really changed Madden, it really has limited, at least in this year's game, it's really limited big plays. It's changed the offensive meta significantly, and it has really tightened the throwing windows in which you have the ability to throw. So there's 2nd and goal for John. We're gonna, again, notice, what are we doing down here in the red zone? Running the ball, ground transportation, easiest way to score. Stretch alert, looky, boom, touchdown, John. Somehow John fights and claws his way back in front of this game. And if John gets a stop, he's got a really good chance at winning. He's going to have to hold Fancy to 3. He's going to have to get a stop. He's going to have to do something Fancy really kind of slid back. I mean, that's a huge slide to go from up 2 possessions to up 1 possession to up no possessions, right? But Fancy breaks a kick return, right? He broke 2 inside zones. He broke a kick return, got a fortunate KO, right? So huge, really things just kind of falling for him. All right, we got double streaks. All right, we got a streak, post, and see that time Fancy able to catch it. Now, why is he able to catch it? I'm not really sure. Other than he just cuts it off a little better. I don't know. I think it actually might be a hash mark thing, because I believe in the other one he was on the short hash. But anyhow, not sure. Not sure why he was able to catch that one, but he wasn't able to catch the one before on the 4th down play. But notice the combo here. Watch, there's that short side. And oh, by the way, take a look at this with me real quick. So this is a short side wheel. Watch what happens. See how he sputters? He's slowing down. He kept running, but he was slowing down, doing the slow down thing a little bit. Anyway, it's a short side wheel combo that really does that. And yeah, good defense from John. Fancy should be throwing that away. Yeah. And so much is happening in this game. So many kind of ways in which the game has shifted throughout the year being on display here. But ultimately it really does come down to your ability to anticipate, your ability to switch stick the routes that Fancy puts on the field. That's what it comes down to. And guess what he's going to? 3rd and 1. And if you're John, I mean, this seems to me to be the play that Fancy is going, you have to stop this play. He's going to go to the cheat motion version of this. He's going to look to that first, good switch. And he hits that short post right in a tight spot. So again, one of the other things is Fancy is anticipating the switch stick. So he's here. His eyes are immediately here. He sees John switch to this. It's really hard for John because these safeties are in the box. How do you? If he switches back here, he a lot of times you're out of position. So watch, John switches here, and I think the reason why is because he's in cover 2. So technically, that's a touchdown. But what Fancy sees is his user is over here. So let me work this route, which I know has to be usered. Kind of super high level read by Fancy. Anticipating the switch, having that if this, then that. If John switches this, then I have that open over the middle of the field. Going to go to the jet touch pass here, closing the 3rd quarter, trying to close it with 7, and he is not going to be able to. That's going to take it to the 4th. Actually, nice. Did he call timeout? No, it's just going to take us to the 4th. All right, switch 4 is up. Here we go. This game actually moved really quickly. And this is a huge red zone possession for Fancy. If John's able to stop him here, this is massive. Even if he's able to hold him to 3, which more than likely Fancy's going to go for it if we get in a 4th down situation. There he goes to the wide zone at a pistol wing flex close. Here he's going to go to a pass, 3rd and goal. Now the reason I believe he's going to go to this pass is because he knows he's going to go for it on 4th down and tries to. And again, that's just a snap read. If you got space, you truck it. Not able to get his feet in bounds. That brings up a 4th down. Decision time. Fancy's going to go for this. Now, because he passed it on 3rd down, he got a little bit of a peek of what John's going to do from a coverage perspective. I believe John might have ran commit there. I don't know. No, I don't think he ran commit, but he just didn't have anybody in the inside quarter and almost got popped there. And that brings up a huge 4th and goal. All right, 4th and goal from the 1. We've got 6-1 defense from John. He's going to use it with the safety. He's not able to shoot it. And there it is. Perry gets the touchdown. And now, 31-28, John Beast has a money drive. If John is able to take this clock, go down and get 7, he will win the Madden Bowl. Notice the kickoff to the right. Pretty common. Fancy did break a kick on the kickoff to the right. Another thing that a lot of these guys probably have is some type of like tackling abilities or some kind of like, lineup where they're able to get good hit power guys. There is Fancy's roommate, Young Kiv. And Fancy going back to the engage D here. And Fancy playing a little more basic. He didn't switch stick that. I think he was playing a little bit more like midpoint in it, trying to get John to make a mistake. Because John has popped him on a couple. I think he's had 2 streaks that he's hit over the top. And there Fancy gets it. And Fancy almost lurks the running back streak right there. This is insane. Watch him just boom and then just bam. Fancy, gosh dang. When he switch, the thing that's, again, I was talking about the half-second thing. When Fancy kind of is anticipating your route and he switches to it right, he'll switch it and he'll lurk it so fast. It's like that. It's almost like Ed Reed playing safety. Anyway, here's John's kind of main play. He catches him here. He catches him in cover 2. Look, great throw. John knows it's open. He's throwing this. This is a touchdown. This is literally like massive 2-possession lead with 4 minutes. Touchdown. Fancy gets a B gap. Again, like milliseconds, half seconds. Just a little bit more time. That's a touchdown for John. So that's why, a blitz threat is always critical within your plays. Fancy called a lot of DB fire too. There's the engage D again. And that time, that's a pick. And this is how it goes, man. Watch this. Okay, so this is cover 4. So look, he's in the engage defense. Boom. I don't know what exactly that is right there. I just don't know what zone that is because he's not manned up. Anyways, the big deal here is watch. I just don't know what that is. But watch this corner on the outside. Watch his back pedal right here. At this point, this is a soft squat. Okay. So I want to say that's a vert hook, but I just don't know. Anyways, this is an inside quarter. This is an inside quarter, I believe. I believe that's a middle third. I believe this is soft squat. So anyway, he's doing like a cover 2 deal. So Fancy reads the play. And he's going to switch stick here and try to go get it. So he switch sticks just enough to back this guy up so that the match principle activates. Could be cover 4, might be cover 4, and maybe I don't know. Anyways, bottom line is John throws right at it, and it's an interception. And again, we talk about a game of mistakes. This is a big one. Yeah, it looks like it just looks, I don't know. It could be an outside quarter. Maybe that was just, oh, you know what? I bet you that's actually just basic cover 4 quarters. Because the way he rerouted him, this might just be basic cover 4 quarters. Anyway, that outside quarter, what Fancy did, and this is really underrated, watch when he switch sticks here. He's going to watch the switch stick here. See how he moved him outside? Him moving him outside will take away the speed out. But because it's a match, he recovers, and he's able to catch it. John Beast thinks that's a... John Beast, I just truly believe, John thought he called cover 2 again, or John Beast thought it was the same situation previously where Fancy bit down on that safety just a little bit and it caused a touchdown. John lobs it up right to him, and Fancy catches him and gets the one stop he needed to be able to hopefully end up putting the game out of reach. I believe he, you know what? I bet you ran like cover 2 on the tight end side and cover 4 on that left side. Now that I look at it a second time. But just a great change up from Fancy with the way he was playing defense. Goes back to that inside zone. That's 6 yards. Saquon Barkley has 3 carries for 117 yards in the ball game. And that is a big deal. So if you're Fancy here, kind of a tough situation, because if you get stopped, then you're really then John is really in position to be able to go down, tie it, or take the lead. So if you're Fancy, you still have to kind of get some first downs here. You have to pass the ball a little bit. He's going to go to YSL. I don't think we've seen him call this specific version of it. There's that corner route, good read, hits it right in that spot. Again, notice how tight of the window that he's able to throw into. He's going to go back on conservative. Really, if you're Fancy here, a field goal is helpful, but it doesn't ultimately win you the game. What wins you the game is being able to move the ball. He has to get at least 1, maybe 2. I think he has to get 2 more first downs for this to be GG's. And John's obviously trying to lurk the run. That's why he's staying. What's really an underrated thing, too, is you pretty much know that John is going to be in Crossfire because Crossfire is a lot better run defense than the engage defense, especially if you can run off both sides. So, kind of interesting as well. Takes a little flat underneath. And 3rd and 5. So this is going to be John's biggest defensive call of his Madden career. This is the biggest moment in this game up to this point. And notice what Fancy's doing. He comes out in the fake jet wheel play. So he's setting this up all game, saves it for the right moment, goes to it. John's user is completely out of position. He didn't run commit in the game against Wesley. Wesley flat out ran commit. Anyway, the bottom line is he goes to this and take a look here. The user has to come out here to shoot the jet touch pass. So John's user gets out of position, and now you've got this post, and you've got this backside Texas, and the yellow zones are nowhere to be found. Look how deep the yellow zones are. Look how deep they are. Right? 3rd and 5. These yellow zones, I believe they are at least 10 yards. And there it is. That's a huge first down. Catches him in the biggest moment of the ball game. Guesses right. John guesses wrong. These just little bitty plays that made just a big difference in this game. This was a really, really good game, and probably truly the game of the year. I mean, truly was the best matchup. Been kind of going towards it all year. Fancy just needs one first down to close this one out. You're going to see some fake hot routes, but he's ultimately going to be an inside zone. That's the first time we've seen John able to truly stop the inside zone. And now we're going to go back to 2nd and 10. And Fancy's going to pass. So Fancy's going to try passing here on the 2nd down. He will take a sack. And going to take it and get up to a 3rd and 6. Good timeout by John. So this is, and now you truly see, I mean, this, if John does not get off the field here, this is going to be it. See what Fancy ends up going to. Probably going to go to that cheat wheel play. He is for his bread. Now he's going to go to the cheat wheel, the pass he needed to hit. And guess what he hits? The post. Perfect read. He called that play all game. It was that play. John could not ultimately stop the triangle read over the middle of the field. And Fancy completes what I believe to be the best Madden season I've ever seen. I mean, he won 2 finals. I don't think Henry had that. Did he have that? He won, I can't remember. I thought that was the year that he lost. I don't know. But this was insane because not only was it was the Ultimate Kickoff Classic, or not the Classic, the Ultimate Kickoff Tournament in September. He won back-to-back. So he won Ultimate Kickoff in September. He won Madden, or Most Feared. Then he, I don't think he made Unstoppable. Not sure why. And then he lost Zero Chill to Clef. And then he rolled through Madden Bowl. So, anyways, shout out to Fancy. I think this might have truly been the best season we've seen. A lot can be learned from Fancy going forward in terms of how this changes the meta, how it changes everything. So much to be learned about this. If you're looking to take your Madden game to the next level, make sure you join our school community. That's going to be linked in the description. $10 gets you access to everything that I know about Madden, college football, all that stuff is in there. Thanks for watching the video. And yeah, shout out to Fancy. Super good season and a lot can be learned from how he plays the game.